Central Cougars and your Saline Hornets. And now let's meet the starting lineups. First, the defensive starters for the visiting Grand Rapids Catholic Central Cougars. At linebacker, number 3, Matt Moore. At safety, number 6, Tim Lambert. At cornerback, number 12, Jeremy Wolf. At linebacker, number 15, Ethan Lott. At safety, number 16, Ben Dalrymple. At linebacker, number 21, Ben Jopic. At linebacker, number 22, Kyle Tepper.
And then I probably
at cornerback, number 23,
where's the other 3 prongs?
At defensive line, number 51, Eddie Hines. At defensive line,
okay, it's somewhere.
Purdue. And at defensive line, Tommy Michaelay.
It should be.
The Catholic Central Cougars are led by head coach Todd Colster. And now, here are your Saline Hornets.
3, 4.
Tonight's offensive starters for the Hornets. At tackle, number 77, Lance Blazak. At guard, number 71, Carter St. Lawrence. At center, number 58, Chase Hartley. At guard, number 55, Noah Ayers. At tackle, number 50, Tyler Blake Jones. At tight end, number 6, Brendan Murphy. Starting at wide receiver, number 8, Greg Sidley. At wide receiver, number 5, Trevor Orico. At wide receiver, number 1, Colton Melanzak. Starting at running back, number 26, Brendan Monday. And the quarterback for the Hornets tonight, number 13, Kyle Greenwood. Saline is led by head coach Joe Costa, now in his 7th season with the Hornets.
That should. No, that's picking up.
Yes, you stand and enjoy the city march under the direction of the Atlantic, the Mountain America, with the playing of the Star Spangled Banner.
You can hear us.
Good, good. All right, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. The 0-1 Saline Hornets are looking to put their first win of the year up in the win column as they take on the defending Division IV champion Grand Rapids Catholic Cougars. Grand Rapids coming off a 14-0 year where they defeated Edwardsburg in the Division IV state championship 42-31. And Saline going to be giving the quarterback reins over to Kyle Greenwood as Andrew Arbaugh got knocked out of last weekend's game in a nail-biting loss to Chippewa Valley 31-26. The one thing you have to wonder, despite Grand Rapids being so good as they were last year, is they are Division IV folks, which means that their enrollment overall is much smaller than Saline. So you're going to wonder how their level of competition, obviously nothing compared to what Saline faces. So we should get a taste really early of how good Grand Rapids really is.
Hi, I'm Mitch Gashi, and I'll be doing the play-by-play tonight for our football game along here with Nathan Stearns. And I do expect an exciting contest. It's a beautiful night for football. If you're listening and you're close in the area, it's great to come out. Not that we wouldn't want you to listen to our broadcast, but you couldn't have asked for a better evening. I think the Saline has something to show after last week. They started out so strong and then had a down two quarters and then came back at the end, but the clock was their biggest opponent and they couldn't overcome it. So I think we're going to see a good showing tonight. The change of quarterback, we'll see how that affects us. It's next man up, and that's the way the approach we've got to take it. What do you think, Nathan?
Well, I think that continuity is a really important thing, and obviously the Hornets don't find themselves in best overall spot. Arbaugh was great last week, completed 23 of 34 passes for 283 yards. He had a phenomenal game. His completion percentage was almost a 68%, which is very, very well for any level of football. But I think that it's going to be really important for the offensive line to get used to playing with each other. I mean, you have two guys that, between Kyler Blake Jones and Schultz, that have not played together. Now you have Carter St. Lawrence, who I played with, is a really smart guy. However, this is his first starting varsity game, so I think after a while you kind of have to pick a starting five and go with it. I think that if you just, keep the rotating game going, that you're disrupting that continuity. As an offensive line, you get used to the quarterback's cadence, so this is going to be a really old challenge for him.
Back deep to receive the kickoff is MJ Griffin and Trevor Arico. It's a short kick up to Griffin. Carries it over the 30, gets an opening out to the 40-yard line. So great starting position for Saline. So that'll help your quarterback as well.
Oh, that was not that kick was that. Once again, Chippewa Valley didn't have great. Their special teams got better as the game went on. Last week, however, if MJ's going to get it at the 15-yard line every time, Saline's going to be once again set up for some really good field position.
And that's the key, and that's what helped us last week early on. There's an official timeout. Great field possession. Now the difference between last week and this week, hopefully, is if we get it first and goal from the 5, we don't settle for field goals. We're able to bang it in.
Well, and I'm looking at Grand Rapids starting lineup right now, and the one thing I immediately noticed is there's a lot less size in the middle of the defense than there was last week. Chippewa Valley had two big boys. Big defensive linemen.
And as a switch up, Griffin was at quarterback in the Wildcat, hands it off on the end around to number 36, Alex Morrison. A little trickery to start the game, pickup of 9. It'll be the second and 1.5 from the 48-yard line.
They're starting Griffin at quarterback. Wow. They said Greenwood, but Griffin's taking his second. I guess you got to put, especially when the Hornets, are going through what they are right now, you have to put the ball in the biggest playmaker's hands.
Again, the handoff to Morrison, cuts it up inside. He's over the 50 into Cougar territory. There's a scrum. They keep moving the pile forward. He keeps going and going, turning those legs down inside almost to the 41-yard line. Pick up a little over 10. It'll be another first down for Saline.
Boy, and I find this a really interesting strategy early on, putting Morrison and Griffin at quarterback. That is something that my question now is who plays corner, because I don't think you can realistically have Griffin playing quarterback and corner, you know, over and over and over again. So my question, now you have Morrison.
Takes the direct snap, runs it around in. There's a flag on the play. It's a huge play, but I have this bad feeling it's coming back. Pushed out of bounds inside the 20, about the 17.5-yard line, but let's see what the call is. Holding against Saline. So the ball will be coming back.
And those are the mistakes Saline can't afford to make. I wonder who it's against.
If he's mic'd up, we'll hear it. That was on Noah Ayers. So now we've got Greenwood in at quarterback, and Griffin out at receiver. You know, actually Griffin's coming out of the game. They're making it interesting.
That they are. They might be going with the platoon of Greenwood and Griffin with his explosive athleticism. He's got the athletic talent that these Grand Rapids kids haven't seen before. You don't have a lot of Division I recruits from Division IV. You just don't. So yeah, it's a big challenge for them too.
So it'll be 1st and 24 from their own 45-yard line. So that was a 14-yard penalty, but bigger than that because we had about a 30-yard gain on that.
And those are the mistakes that, you know, do kill drives. However, if last week was any indication, Greenwood now, and that's a great block on the left side as they're able to pick up about 7 or 8 right there. Good run by Greenwood.
So far in this game, I think what you're seeing is that Saline's comfortable to keep it on the ground for right now. I think they feel they have a size advantage against Catholic Central. They may want to try and wear them down, suck them in a little bit, see if they can get 7 or 8 in the box, and then maybe go over the top.
Well, when you have a new quarterback, you know, they're probably going to be a little bit more hesitant to automatically, you know, start throwing it to Green and throwing it to Green and throwing it to Green, and they're going to want to give it to their experienced running backs, and this is going to be a huge test. The onus is really going to be on the offensive line because flat out last week they didn't run the ball very well, but so far today a lot better than they were last week.
And that was a carry by Brendan Monday, and he picked up back to the original line of scrimmage, so now it'll be 3rd and 10, more doable at the 41-yard line of Grand Rapids.
My question now being, is this 4-down territory? If they get 5 or 6 yards, I think you can fully expect them to go for it here as they're on their side of the 40-yard line.
Now this is the first time we see Colton Malanzak in the game, who was our big receiver last week. Let's see, let's look for him. He's out, trips to the far side of the field. Fake the handoff, keeps it. Greenwood carried inside the 4, nice stiff arm. Carries it down to about the, where they mark it out.
30, I think it was about the 37, 36.
Yeah.
Looks like it's going to be 3rd and 7 or
4th and 6 here. And they are going to go for it.
I can't blame them at all. I think those are the, especially you can't have another drive forward to stall in the red zone like that. You know, and Grand Rapids is going with almost an abbreviated 3-4. Now they got 5 in the box. 2 stand-up defensive ends.
Hand off to Monday. Unfortunately, he ran into his quarterback, and that slowed up that play. And the ball goes over on downs. Tackles by Kyle Tepper for Catholic Central, number 22.
Well, promising opening drive for the Hornets, but it does stall off, and we were just talking about that. Those penalties there. However, you know, he's encouraging them. They're 1st and 24, and they gained, what would that be, 19 yards on the ground to make it more manageable. You know, obviously you can't. They're going to have to start throwing the ball sooner or later here. Now, on the defensive side, my big question, I mean, now you have apparently Greenwood at safety, so he's going to be going both ways. And Gammo jumped off sides, I believe.
Flag on play.
So a couple silly mistakes here early for the Hornets.
That was Gammo that jumped off sides, and that helps out Catholic Central. But let's just see what they do. They are a fairly veteran squad with only 2 sophomores or 3 sophomores on their roster, so they've been in the trenches. These kids have played in the state final, so they should be not overwhelmed. Handoff, kicks it to the outside, Saline has decent pursuit, kicks him out just over the 46 to almost the 47-yard line.
It's all about angles, especially when they're trying to bust it to the side. Right there, that is phenomenal pursuit by Saline, forcing him to the sideline. A lot of times where you run into trouble is if you let him to cut back inside toward the middle of the field, because you have all your defense flowing one way toward the sideline, and with a quick, edgy running back who's able to cut it back quick, a lot of times the defense isn't going to be able to recover in time.
So that brings up 2nd and 3. Catholic Central drops back. Pass is complete to number 23. Tackled almost immediately by Gammo.
Quarterback Joe Collins pass, number 23.
One thing I would really like to see is how our guys like Tarek and Wisniewski, who were a little quiet. Wisniewski had a sack late in the year, but especially Tarek, who did struggle a little bit last week. It was rather quiet. I wonder how these guys, are going to be able to come out, because they know flat out that it's, they really need to win, because with a hard schedule, you don't want to start off 0-2 or an 0-3, because 6 wins guarantees you into the MHSAA playoffs. 5 wins, and you're kind of really floating the bubble, so to speak.
Collins' pass was incomplete out in the flat, intended for number 28, Drew Gammonson. Brings up 2nd and 10. There was good coverage on that play as well.
Very good coverage, yeah. The one thing is, though, for our viewers out there, how the playoffs work is if you have 6 wins, you are locked in. But if you have 5 wins, obviously that's when strength of schedule comes into play, and it's the MHSAA's playoff advisory board which determines who makes it and who doesn't make it. Saline probably would make it, based solely on the fact that they had such a tough non-conference schedule. So teams that go 5-4 but play a really tough non-conference schedule and lose to really, really good teams are going to get in before 5-4 teams that don't really play anybody in non-conference. It's kind of comparable to what you saw you see in college football. I think it was a couple years back when Hawaii went 5-7. And they got a bowl bid just because of their extremely tough non-conference schedule. Normally in college football, it's 6 wins, and you're guaranteed at least an automatic berth to some sort of bowl game.
That was nice backside pursuit on that. It wasn't a pass because he threw it backwards behind the line. It was more of a lateral, but great pursuit from the backside to drag that down. That was number 94, Brad Wisniewski. Brings up 4th and 7, and looks like Catholic Central will punt. So that was a nice, strong defensive stand for the first stand there.
That's especially after the offsides by Gammo, did a really good job right there, riding the ship, made a good tackle in pursuit. A couple downs later, and Saline going to be able to get the ball back.
Bad snap. Punter gets it away. It's a wobbly kick. Malonzak takes it, and he's on the fly, and there he goes.
He's got the kicker to beat if he cuts it back inside. He'll be brought down at the 48-yard line. And I tell it, what do you think early? It's a spitting image of last week, but boy, if Saline's able to force some punts, they could be in the driver's seat for this game, because that was not a good punt and not a good long stance at all.
And that's what we say, like you said, that's what we saw last week. Chippewa Valley struggled on special teams. They picked it up late, and that was part of the difference in the game, but they gave us some good early possessions and field position. So let's see if we can take advantage of it here on the second drive.
Well,
now another new quarterback, Anthony Ferrari, the sophomore, is in at quarterback. So they're going to give everybody an opportunity tonight. Ferrari takes the snap, throws it out to Malonzak. He makes a guy miss and carries it down for a pickup of 10 yards, make that 11 yards. And Malonzak is really, he's been our go-to receiver so far this season. He's tough as nails, avoids the hit, or takes a hit and keeps on going. He gets yards after the catch.
And I'll tell you what I think about this Saline team. I think they're going to win a lot closer games than we have the last couple of years. I mean, you saw Saline beat Pioneer 49-7 and Huron 58-6. I mean, I don't think that they're going to have a lot of games where they're going to be able to run at the score 35, 40, 45 points. But what I do think is I think their defense and the style of play that they have is going to be able to keep them in hardly any game. If they are able against Chippewa Valley to stay in that game as long as they did and only lose by 5, I don't think they're going to have any game this year where if they do lose, they're going to lose by more than 9 or 10.
The pass is tipped, but hauled in by Monday, and he's keeping Bullen forward and inside the 15-yard line for another first down. That's back-to-back first down completions to Brendan Murphy. And Murphy just bowls his way in. The D-back anticipated the pass. And that's one thing Ferrari's got to be aware of. He had just, it's the exact same play. The D-back read it, but Murphy stuck with it, caught the ball, and carried it down for another first down inside the 15-yard line.
Little tip drill right there for him. As he was
handoff inside to number 29.
That's Hayden Scott. That's going to fall forward, I think, for about 3 or 4 yards. So another solid run. You know, if they're able to do that, you know, nothing wrong with getting 3 yards on first down. My question now is, are they going to be able to finish off the drives? They weren't able to do that last week. I think this is a spot where you have to give the ball back to Griffin and put it in his hands, especially in the red zone, because they had no answer for him in the first drive. And if they don't have an answer, then why stop going to him? You know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Again, Ferrari in the shotgun. Takes the snap. He's got Scott out in the flat. They're going to rule it was a catch and a fumble. Boy, I'm not sure he had completion of that. If that was a college or NFL rule, they would have reviewed that. And he never made a football play to move forward, but they turned it over.
Yeah, I don't think there was any way he had control there. But that's a questionable call, to put it lightly.
He was hit instantaneously on the catch, and the ball came out. But you know that's all right. It was a good drive. They moved it down inside the 10. If the defense can hold, we'll get great field position and bang her in. So with 6:40 remaining here in the first quarter, it's still 0-0. So let's see how the defense responds. Collins hands the ball off inside.
One thing I really have been impressed with so far is the Saline running game has been much better than it was against Chippewa Valley. And maybe it has something to do with the fact that Grand Rapids is a lot smaller. That's normally how it is when you play Division III, Division IV. You're not going to have a lot of really athletic 300-pound kids. But what you are going to have is you're going to have a lot of scrappy kids who are 5'7", 5'8", and 200 pounds. That's normally how it ends up going. I remember whenever we would play, my junior year, we played Tecumseh from the SEC White, and that was a game in which we got out early, and I think we ended up winning 63-7. And it was funny because I got in late third quarter, and I remember looking across. This guy was exactly my size. Anybody knows who I am. I was never the biggest football player. I was about 5'7" and 190 pounds. But like, I remember that game thinking to myself, there are not a lot of big people at all.
Again, the handoff to number 23, Nate Trudeau, but he was met immediately by Gammo. And they gave him maybe a yard on the play, brings up third.
Getting at the 50-yard line. You know, it looks like they're going to pass it with 3 out wide. Tight end in motion there.
Handoff again. He cuts it outside. Oh, picks up the first down. Nice that Isaac Zembeck came up to try and make the play, but not before they gained the first down and moved the chains. That was a big, big play for Catholic Central.
I'll give him credit, too. It looks like that play was dead to right. The interior of Saline's offensive line blew right past Grand Rapids. However, able to hit outside, hit a crease, and just fall forward for the first down. Get them off the field on third down, and now he has a sack there, so a really big early opportunity. And we talk about seniors making big plays, and him and Tarek were 2 of the 4 defensive starters that were returning for the Hornets, alongside Adonis Gammo and MJ Griffin.
Again, he throws a pass out in the flat. Beautiful tackle again by Wisniewski. Pickup of maybe back to the original line of scrimmage, bring up 3rd and 10. Wisniewski's having a first quarter.
He is having a first quarter, and if Saline's able to get off the field here, Grand Rapids is going to have to hope for a good punt, because Saline's got an opportunity, especially with a short field like this, 1 or 2 blocks, and Malinzak's going to be gone.
He is. He has the ability to make people miss.
Well, he had 6 receptions for 77 yards last week. Really impressed with him. You know, you wondered who was going to step up.
Again, pass over the middle. Oh, completed. He found his opening and right between the zone and completed down to the 42-yard line. Pick up about 21 yards. Be a first down, Catholic Central.
That was just a good throw. I mean, he had 3 guys around him. I mean, he didn't have much of a window. Tight coverage. Nothing Saline can do right there. Not many quarterbacks Saline's going to be able to face that can make that kind of throw. Tell you what, Greenwood's sure getting his exercise in between running in at safety and in at quarterback and this, that, and the other. Max Fair now checking in at linebacker.
Handoff inside. Pickup of about 6. That was by Sean Wells, running back for Catholic Central.
And Fair was the guy I was quite surprised didn't get the starting now to week 1, but with Arbaugh down and Greenwood running back and forth, he is going to get the chance. And Fair is a guy, I tell you folks, who this guy is as strong as an ox, flat out.
Trips wide to the near side. Collins in an empty backfield. Takes the snap. Fakes it, gives a nice shoulder fake. Freezes the D-back, and completes the pass down inside the 25-yard line. Unfortunately, Harrison Hill bought on the fake and froze him for a minute, but that's all right. We first and 10 from the 25-yard line. That was good veteran quarterback play there. He gave it a nice pump fake. The D-back bit on it, and here we are, first and 10 from the 25.
That even works in the NFL. You see how many times professional level quarterbacks are able to get defensive backs to bite.
Handoff to Trudeau. He is patient, kicks his way inside down to about 18, 17-yard line. Depending on where they spot it, at the 18-yard line, brings up 2nd and 3. Trudeau's been running hard too, so Catholic Central's been rotating their backs in there, and they're making some good reads and getting some yardage.
Well, they're probably trying to give that Saline defense a lot of different looks. You know, you have one running back who's a little bit more of a scat back, and another one who's able to hit the gaps right there really good as he falls forward right at the first down marker at the 18-yard line.
Tackle by number 10, Connor Terrick.
Connor Terrick in on the tackle will bring up 3rd and 1.
That'll bring up 3rd.
My guess is this is probably 4-down territory for Catholic Central if their punting team is anything indicative of their special teams.
Absolutely, and I mean, it's 3rd and 1 unless they lose 15 yards. I don't think there's any way at all that you're not going to see them. They might try to freeze Saline again here. But I think that they're going to, it's going to be 2 plays right at the interior of that Saline defensive line here.
Handoff. Cuts it inside. Met right at the line of scrimmage and driven back. I do not believe they're going to give it to him.
It sure is going to be. No, I think the line judge signals 4th down. And you said I would be very shocked if they bring their offense off the field here.
Zach Zabin on that play. He filled a hole and Met squared him up and drove him right back. Beautiful play by Zabin.
Well, they're having more success, and this is what Chippewa Valley had success. If they're running straight zone right at the Saline 3-tech and the Saline 1-tech, they're not going to have any success. They're going to have a lot more success trying to hit it to the outside, like Chippewa Valley did. They were running a lot more to the gas instead of trying to run right at Saline.
Timeout, Catholic Central. So it looks like we have some of our fans listening here in tonight. Remember, if you text Nathan or I, we'll give you a on-the-air shout-out. Good to see that Bob Cummer's listening up there in Midland, Michigan, rooting hard for our Saline Hornets. We've got Rocky Crane up there in Davison, Michigan. He's listening on the air and hoping for a stellar victory for our Hornets tonight. And remember, just don't be afraid to shoot us a text. We'll mention you on air.
Now, Saline's able to get a stop here. That is absolutely huge. Grand Rapids, I'll be honest with you, I didn't think that there was any way that they were going to march as far as they have so far. Saline has a chance here to really turn the tide and get a good stop here.
Well, that's where it's a total team effort. So the offense has looked pretty good so far. Had a bad break on the fumble, but they look pretty good so far. The defense, we had a couple of guys who had not as good games the first week have stepped up so far in this game. So this is where the seniors, like you say, and see if we can make a play.
I'd almost call for a quarterback sneak right here, even though I don't think that's the direction they're going. But if their quarterback's able to just fall forward They're going to get the first. And there's
Oh, and he did not get it. They stopped him short of the first. Oh, the side judge gave him it, and I do not. That was well, maybe he fell forward. So they did give him the first down. We sent the corner blitz. He eluded the tackler and picked up the first down. That was a heck of a play by the running back.
Yeah, it's hard to see from up here. It looks like he's right at the marker. If he got it, it wasn't by much. I'm surprised they didn't even call for a measurement, to be honest with you. If nothing else, I'm surprised they didn't call for the chain gang. Because they originally did have him stop behind the line of scrimmage, but it was so close that they were able to just fall forward like we were talking about. And that's
easy touchdown.
That's just too easy right there. Noah Nelson, once again, gets little, not even the pump fake, just a little draw play right there. He's able to throw it right over the top of Saline secondary, and Saline now finds themselves down early, 6-0.
Well, he bit on the play action pass. He faked the handoff to the running back that froze some of the linebackers and the safeties, and then it just receiver got behind him, and it's easy pitch and catch. Lopez on to attempt the extra point. And it is good, and that makes the score Catholic Central 7, Saline nothing, with 1:11 remaining here in the first quarter.
Now, if you're Saline, the question is how are they going to be able to respond here? This is a really important part that they struggled a little bit last week. Chippewa Valley got going; they got off to a Saline got off to a 13-0 lead, and then Chippewa kept chipping away and chipping away and chipping away. No pun intended, but Saline wasn't really ever able to respond until they had that late Brendan Monday touchdown run, but by that time it was too little too late. And my question now is, how are they going to be able to respond? Because I can guarantee you there's an emphasis during the week in finishing. They're a young team, but they have to figure out sooner rather than later. I mean, high school football is only a 9-week season. You can't wait till week 4 or 5 to discover that, you can't get down on yourselves. Saline football, flat out, the last several years hasn't been used to being down to teams. Every year it seems they go undefeated in the regular season and lose.
Again, another short kick. It'll go out of bounds. That's a penalty. Saline will take over on their own 35-yard line. And again, decent field position. Now let's see if we can drive it down, pick up a score, and change the tide of momentum going in this game. I think Saline's responded fairly well to the change of quarterback. I don't think that's really been an issue thus far in the first quarter. Defense again is, we're going to have to stiffen it up. It's they're going to make him re-kick it. They don't believe a lot in Lopez's leg, and he hasn't shown a lot of ability to boot it so far. Let's see if Catholic Central adjusts. So he's going to kick from his own 35 now.
That's a smart play. I would have done the same thing. I think I'd be surprised. Would not be surprised at all if he's not even able to kick it to the Saline side of the 35 here. If Melanzak or Arico or one of them is able to break something free here, Saline can set themselves up for really good field position.
Here he comes with a kick.
About the 25-yard line.
Yeah. Fielded by Arico, carries it out over the 40 to the 45. And there he's gang tackled there just over the 45-yard line. So it was a great decision by the coaching staff to make him re-kick. Picked up 10 more yards on that. And Saline will take over on their own 45-yard line with 1:03 remaining here in the first quarter.
Question is, I think, is Griffin going to be starting at QB again, or no, he's going to be split out? All right, Greenwood's coming back.
Ferrari's in at quarterback, and he had a good series. It just nothing he did wrong to on that drop pass, and like I say, that was questionable, but that was the stuff he flips it out to Melanzak. There's a face mask, a 15-yarder. Everybody on the field threw a flag, so I guess they saw it. So
I just hope Melanzak's okay. He looks to be okay. He's a tough kid. Nothing, especially when you have your eyes upfield and all of a sudden you can feel your head being yanked back.
I watched him grab his face mask and twist it around. Everybody else listening to the broadcast saw it. Everybody in the stands saw it. So just like that drop pass, the officials are having a struggle tonight. That's all right. We can overcome that. It's not a big deal. So, And just so the clarification on the rules, a face masking penalty, you cannot grab by the helmet. It's not just the face mask. So
and
there's another flag.
Pass falls incomplete. Flag on play.
My guess is, let's see if he picks up the flag. He was going to.
That's something that, you know, you really can't get in your control, but not something that I'm sure they were anticipating early here.
Ferrari steps up in the pocket. Another flag on the play.
That's called a flag on every other play. That's 3 plays in a row now. A flag's going to be called.
Sam Summerdike, flag on the play.
I'd like to know what the flag was now. It's going to be another.
It's another holding against Saline. My guess is they'll take it, push them further back. If the offense is struggling with this aggressive pass rush, you might as well try and pin Saline back as far as you can. And that's exactly what they're going to do. Or looked like they were going to mark it off, but now they're debating it.
All right, they're either going to go second and 28 or third, and they're going to decline the penalty.
Now they decided to decline the penalty.
So now Saline's got third and a mile, third and 18. I would have probably honestly accepted the penalty, to be honest with you, because the pass rush, Grand Rapids, you know, has been able to get pressure running a 3-4. Actually, they're now running pretty much about a 3-3. Nose guard to 7-Tex. Now, how aggressive are you if you're Saline? I think I wouldn't be surprised at all to just see a little dump off pass or a run here. I don't think you can. It's only the first quarter. I wouldn't push the envelope too hard here. They're going to roll out.
Ferrari needed to get rid of that ball. He kept it, and if nothing else, he just needed to throw it away, but that's what happens. It's inexperience. He's tackled for a loss back at the 33-yard line, and Saline will bring on the punting team. And that's, again, these are adjustments. It's still early in the game. It's still in the first quarter. Those are the kind of things that we can recover from, but he'll learn to save a few yards and throw that ball out of bounds.
Well, yeah, but the Saline offensive line, especially on the left side, really didn't do any favors, to put it bluntly, for him. I think that, you know, the onus has to be on them, you know, it's especially for an inexperienced quarterback. When you talk about professional level quarterbacks, the thing that celebrates the good from the great is being able to feel pressure on your backside. And that's something that it's an innate feeling, and it's something that he's going to gain the more he plays. But, you know, the backside of the offensive line has to know that, and they have to be able to not allow that much pressure. I mean, he had 3 guys coming straight at him backside.
But in this circumstance, when you've got a young quarterback like that, I'm sure Coach Palka and the other coaches are saying to him, he's got to have a little mental clock in his mind. Whether he feels the pressure or he doesn't, he's got to get rid of the football after a certain count in his head. Because not only is he going to take a sack, he could get drilled or something. That's how, you know, we lost a quarterback last week with an injury. And so, again, it's just inexperience on his part, nothing major. It's a quick adjustment on the sidelines. I'm sure they're talking to him right now. The beauty of high school football today is that they have iPads on the sidelines. They can show him exactly what happened, and they say, hey, the reason we rolled you out is because we have a little weakness on that backside of the line, and so therefore you assume you don't have the time, and you've got to get rid of it. A more veteran quarterback might be able to feel it differently.
Cropsey now to punt it.
Good punt. Takes a Saline bounce inside the 20, down just in between the 18 and 19. Beautiful punt, changes the field position. Now let's just see if the defense can step up and get that ball back for the offense, and still only trailing 7-0 with 11:50 remaining here in the first half.
Well, like last week, the Saline front seven has been I think overall has done very well. It's just the inexperience in the secondary that's hurt them a little bit, and it's going to continue to hurt them unless they're able to tighten up a little bit.
Yep.
Who's their running back
Because I can guarantee you every opponent that they play is going to be attacking that secondary. They're going to find a weak spot in Saline, and they're going to attack it and attack it and attack it.
Handoff inside to number 32, Sean Wells. Picks up a couple out to about 21, 22-yard line, depending on where they spot it.
That is a great tackle by Jordan Harris. He was 5'4", and he just brought down a guy that was 5 inches taller than him and probably had 60 pounds on him. That's, I mean, the guy they got starting at running back's a big guy looking from up here, a lot of muscle, and Harris does a good job squaring him up and bringing him down. Been very easy for Harris just to get bowled over, but did a good job standing in there and bringing him down.
Handoff inside again. Met right at the line of scrimmage and driven back. Number 32, Sean Wells.
Morrison does a good job right there filling the hole. And Morrison started at strong safety last year, but got moved down to linebacker. Just to tell you what, between Morrison, Tarek, and Clark, Saline's got 3 really big and really strong linebackers.
So this is a key play for Saline here in the second quarter. See if they can hold them and get that ball back. As we've seen, the punting game isn't as strong as maybe Catholic Central would like it. But they split out 3 to the wide, 2 to the near side.
He has plenty of time.
Receiver wide open. 3 guys in the vicinity and nobody covering him. Now that's a coverage breakdown. The receiver was able to run 15 yards down the field. We had a linebacker and 2 D-backs in the area, and nobody covered him. So
that was a coverage breakdown, but the defensive line didn't exactly do him any favors. They had enough time to eat a sandwich in the pocket, and that's something the front 7 has to know is with this inexperienced secondary, the onus has to be on them to flush out the quarterback and try to create opportunities.
Brings up 1st and 10 from the 45-yard line.
And the old adage is if you have a really strong front 7, a lot of times it can mask a lot of the deficiencies of your rather weak back 4.
Handoff to number 28 on the play.
Ashby with the tackle there, and it looks like Wells got about 2 yards.
There's Gamas in on the carry, and I think he did get 2 yards on that.
I just find it funny because, like, you look at Grand Rapids' offensive line, and they have, like, a bunch of guys that are, like, 6 feet 6'1", and then their right tackle, number 75, is, like, 5 inches taller than everybody else. Harmon Luke, anybody that watched Saline's offensive line last year knows how big they were. Talking about, you know, I mean, Greg Poole was 6'5", Landon was 6'1", 300, Drevno was 6 feet, 230, Zarek Bracci was 6'6", 290, Dimitri Douglas was 6'5",
Saline comes on the blitz, they force him out in the flat. Was it complete? It was complete, but for no gain to Harris on the play. Or Wells, I'm sorry. That's the first time Saline's brought the pressure, and it threw off Collins on that play.
Well, good job, though, by Collins. You got to give him credit. He's lucky he didn't lose any yardage, did a smart play, was able to survey the field really quickly, and I'm sure that they'll be happy to take, happy to take the stalemate there, and if you're Saline on 3rd and long, you have to be able to get off the field here. They struggled last drive, Grand Rapids, with that 3rd and 10 that they converted.
Again, a long pass complete downfield, hit immediately, and the Catholic Central receiver is a little shaken up on that play, but
well, that was a strong hit by Harrison Hill. I give him that. Did a good job trying to knock the ball out, but we saw the same thing with Chippewa Valley. I think Grand Rapids is getting a little too open right now. You can't. Flat out, it's hard to win if they couldn't get off the field on 3rd and 10, and now it's 3rd and. That was 3rd and 8, and they're not able to get off the field. Hopefully Saline's able to rebound.
Wells takes a hand up, cuts it up inside, picks up about 11 yards down to the Saline 25-yard line where it'll be 1st down.
That's about the first really big run I think we've seen all day.
Yep.
Right in between
the tackle.
Saline so far has done a good job. What I saw there, and I was looking right at Saban, was he had a double team between the right guard and the right tackle that comboed him all the way the backside linebacker, and he got, you can't get pushed back 4 yards if you're Saban right there.
Well, Catholic Central has a really good balance on offense. They're mixing it up, and I think that's also helping them. Handoff again to Wells. Slips one tackle. Tarek brings him down inside the 20 to about the 18-yard line.
I'll tell you what, though, too. Wells is a big guy. Like, I am surprised that they have as big of a running back as they do. I mean, he is going to be hard to arm tackle. So, I mean, their left tackle and their right tackle are big. So I think they're going to try to be running it more toward the tackles and the interior of the offensive line. And so far, it's working. You know, give them credit. Came out with a good game plan, and they're starting off a lot quicker than Chippewa did last week.
Collins takes the snap, hands off to Trudeau. He's met in the backfield. He eludes a tackle, but he's going to be tackled for a loss back at the 20-yard line. That was great penetration on that play, and that blew up the play.
Saline's going to need more plays like that. That's a great play there by Gammo. Gammo and Wisniewski there, and I think once again, you're going to be in 4-down territory here, 3rd and medium here, and with the way their kicking has been, they're going to be trying to do everything they can to take a 2-possession lead.
Exactly. And that was about the 3rd tackle by Connor Terrick, and we didn't call his name 3 times last week, so that's good to see him stepping up here in the first half.
Him and Wisniewski both are really starting to play a lot better. Are we going to get another timeout here? I think we are.
Yeah, Catholic Central.
Timeout on the field.
And if you're Saline here, you know, you have to know the down and distance. You have to be smart. You have to make sure that you don't make any more self-inflicted wounds than you already have. Don't jump off sides, and you have to be able to keep contained, keep everything in front of you, and hopefully get off the field here. 7:26 left in the second quarter. Grand Rapids right now holding a 7-0 lead over Saline. They're down to 1 timeout, however, which might come into play later in the half. You never know how that's going to end up going.
Because we do have 7:26 remaining in the first half, so you're right, that could that may affect them later on. But let's see if we can't get this ball back right here and you know, hold them to going for it on 4th down, because like I say, I think they're too far out for their kicker to attempt it. It would be at this location to be a 32-yard field goal, and I just don't see him, or actually a 37-yard field goal, and I don't see that out of their kicker.
One thing I just saw was Polka talking to one of the officials in that last little intermediate break there, and I don't blame him at all. I think there's been quite a few borderline calls that, I mean, obviously you can't control, but I mean, he wasn't demonstrative in any way. He was just asking them what they saw, and I think that's a very important thing. You know, the officials a lot of times are going to be a lot more reasonable with you if you're not in the middle of a play screaming at them, if you wait to pull them to the side until there is a break.
Collins in an empty backfield, takes the snap, drops back. Pass is complete. Good enough for a 1st down. Terrick on the coverage, makes the tackle, but not before they pick up the 1st down.
That was good coverage, though, by Terrick. That was just a good throw. That was a good throw, and once again, he having too much time in the pocket. You know, I think the onus has to be on Saline to get some pressure, but overall, that was good. That was good coverage by Terrick. I mean, that was just a great throw. Put it right in front of him. If that ball's thrown behind him at all, there's no way that he catches it.
Correct. 1st and 10 from the 15. Again, there's the shoulder fake, but we don't bite on it this time. Good coverage by number 21, Isaac Zambek on that. Didn't allow the receiver to even get near the ball. Bring up 2nd and 10.
Saline's defense now really looking for a stop here, and you have to be a little bit more comfortable with them knowing how bad Grand Rapids special teams is, that you do have a little bit more onus for error, because unlike Saline, who has Turner, you know, Saline, if they get inside the 30, have a chance to make a field goal every time. Grand Rapids can't say that.
Collins is just sacked back at the 30-yard line. Now that's a mistake by their quarterback. He's got to get rid of that ball.
Absolutely. Now, that is absolutely huge. Now Saline completely flips the field. Going to be third and a mile. Now this is the area where you might see them punt.
This is 3rd and 26, so we'll see what they do.
To be fair, in his defense, I know you have to get rid of the ball, but it's kind of hard when you get the snap. It's not like, I mean, he had pressure in his face right as he had the snap. That's a great play by Saban and Gammo, and Saline doing a good job there, flipping the field, and the Hornets defense with a strong stand.
Now, it looks like they may not punt it, just because what's it going to gain them? But we'll see. We'll see what they do. Collins is still out on the field.
Still 4th and a mile here. What are you, 4th and 10?
Now they may be trying to get a pass interference penalty or something, give an automatic first down, but they are going for it.
My question being, is it 4th and 10? I felt like it was long.
No, it's 4th and about 20. It's 4th and 26. He packs. Collins is back, throws it deep downfield, and he throws it out of bounds. So, good or bad, they decided not to punt. Good for Saline. Defense holds, so we have the ball with 5:43 remaining, and again, fairly decent field position. It's on the 31-yard line.
Despite the questionable refereeing, despite the penalty, Saline only finds themselves down by 1 score, and I think that's really encouraging on both ends of the spectrum, because if Saline can just have a couple things go their way, I think they're going to be just fine.
We got another quarterback in here for Saline.
That's Griffin again. That's going to be at QB.
No. It looks like Luke Hoyt in at quarterback. Takes a handoff, or hands it off inside to Monday. Cuts it up inside, picks up about 6.
No, that's Larry. That's Larry Robinson. That's not Luke Hoyt. I played with Luke Hoyt. He's the JV quarterback I was talking about. That's extremely athletic. And boy, this first half is going really quickly here. Only 5 minutes until intermission.
Brings up 3rd and 5.
Again, like I say, a lot of people get an opportunity at quarterback. It's a non-conference game. We start our non-conference schedule next week. So I think what Coach Polka's doing, he is down only by a score. He's getting an opportunity to see a lot of people play in pressure situations. So he's going to make a determination.
And this is
pass out to the flat to Griffin. He cuts it up inside. Good for a first down. He's keep going up to midfield. Beautiful, beautiful play. Nice blocking out there as well.
Saline's got to be able to get some points on this drive, because Grand Rapids does get the ball to start off the second half. But you're absolutely right. This isn't a thing that we've seen Saline rotating quarterbacks before, and I'm mostly thinking of Trent Tyson and Josh Jackson. You know, they did that for pretty much the entire year until Jackson finally took the reins over, but that was the year they went to states. Though we went to states before we lost 33-25 to Clarkston. Mind you, Tyson was the starting quarterback the previous year, or Polka's first year in 2011. Saline went 7-2.
Handoff inside to Scott. He's met immediately at the line of scrimmage and driven back.
Scott for no gain.
Tackled by 52.
Tackled by 52, Finn Purdue.
And
2nd and 10.
Now, on that type of play, I mean, these, like you say, on size, that's where you hope that our running backs can make some of these guys miss. But it was good technique by the linebacker, and he brought him down. Brings up 2nd and 10.
Well, I mean, it's easier to make them miss when you at least have a split secondary, because it seemed like, that's not a good snap by Hartley. Fumble, and I think Grand Rapids got it. That's not a great snap by Hartley there. I don't know. And Grand Rapids did recover it.
Recovered by Catholic Central.
Saline now, once again, it's those little self-inflicted wounds, it's just, and that's playing with Chase Hartley. I know he's going to be the first one to beat himself up. That wasn't a great snap by but I think Robinson's got to be able to corral that. It's better to have, it wasn't over his head. Yes, it was a little bit to the side, but it was something he did get a hand on. That's something that you have to be able to do your son a little bit of favors there. I know he's young, but it wasn't the worst. It wasn't the worst snap in the world. It was a little bit to the side, but it wasn't horrendous. I've seen a lot worse snaps.
Well, let's see.
It is a one-score game, and that's exactly where you want to keep it. You don't want Chippewa I keep saying Chippewa.
Catholic Central.
You don't want Catholic Central to score here, because then you go into the second half and they get the ball to start the second half there. You don't want to go down by 3 scores. You want to keep this within a manageable deficit. That way, you're 1 or 2 plays away from getting right back into the game.
Collins takes the snap, hands off up inside the middle to Trudeau. He picks up about 6 yards. Bring up 3rd and about 4.
And boy, the clock is really ticking down here. I think if Grand Rapids isn't able to score, they're going to be content to just melt the clock.
Because they are not, they didn't punt it at their own 30 or at Saline's 31-yard line. So who knows what to do here?
Well, they're gonna run it all the way down. The play clock is still at 20, and so there's about 2.5 minutes. So they're gonna probably take it all the way down, snap the ball, and then if they're not able to get it, take another 30, 40 seconds off the clock, and then
use their last time out and then do something.
Yeah, either use their last time out or run the ball, but either way they're going to be content to go to the half or use a timeout now. That's one.
Yeah. They were down to 1 second left on the play clock. They didn't get the play in, so a little confusion. So we always remember this is high school football. So it's kids. If we have a freshman playing, we have a 14 or 15-year-old all the way up to 17, possibly 18-year-old. So they are young kids, and so it's early in the season. So these type of things, that's why you try to iron them out early in the season, and then be ready if you're fortunate enough to win the 6 games and qualify for the playoffs.
I think Saline's mark right now, and I do believe they are going to be able to make the playoffs. I think they're probably looking at a maybe 7-2, 6-3 year. I could see them going 5-4, but I do think they're going to be able to make the playoffs. And the one good thing that they have going for them is how hard their non-conference schedule is. And the MHSAA is definitely going to take that into consideration. You saw that with Rockford last year. They went 5-4, but because they play Muskegon, Mona Shores, because they play East Kentwood, because they play so many of those hard teams on the west side of the state, that's why they were able to get in, because they played Granville. You know, they played 4 teams last year that were one of the top 3 seeds in the 4 different regions, exactly. So, and that's something, you know, Saline playing the defending Division 4 champion, playing Chippewa last week, who could very well go on to win a Division 1 state championship, and then playing Ypsilanti, Lincoln, and Bedford, who are 2 possible playoff teams. That is one thing that is going to benefit them.
And their other non-conference game late in the season is Grand Blanc, and they're always a perennial power end. Tipped at the line of scrimmage. That's a huge play for Saline. Stops the clock, so we still have our 3 timeouts. Let's see what they do with 4th and 5 at the 43-yard line.
Or if Saline's able to get a stop here, they
are going to punt. So this is where we got to make a good return. Milanzak back to field to punt. Let's see if we can get something out of this one.
I don't know about you, but if I was Palka right now, I'm sending everybody that I have, with the exception of the returner, Milanzak. I am sending my other 10 guys, and I'm having Hill right up on the line. You can see them stacking to try and get the punt locked.
Better snap this time. A better punt this time. Gets a Catholic Central, and Milanzak picks it up on the bounce, and there he goes. Beautiful play. This is a heady football player. Tough as nails. Saw that Catholic Central was just going to let it go. He said, nah, I'll sneak right in there, pick that up. He picked up 15 yards, and now it's more manageable field position.
Well, it was a gutsy play, but it was also an extremely risky play. You got, if he's not able to corral that on one hop, he's got 3 Grand Rapids players around him. And if he's not able, you see players do that all the time, but if he's not able to corral that on one bounce, most likely he turns it over and Grand Rapids has it at the 10-yard line. But you know what? With the way that the offense has been stagnating a little bit, I do think he made the right play, because they need to take a couple risks, to be honest with you.
Now Griffin's back in at quarterback.
And he's the big play threat, and that's why he's back in at quarterback.
Hand off to Alex Morrison. No gain on the play.
And you're going to start seeing Saline using their timeouts rather quickly here. I'm surprised they haven't used one yet. The clock continuing to roll down here. They might not use them. They might be content to just regroup at half, because Saline's defense has played phenomenal the first half. It's just been the offense that started off really good. It seems like Saline's offense, for the first game and a half, they seem to play better once they get better field position. Like they're still trying to learn how to put together successful drives when they're in the 20, you know, when they don't have as good field position. It's when they have good field position that they've been able to make things happen.
Griffin takes the snap, eludes the tackler, cuts it up inside, and he's gone. They will not catch him on this play. No, oh, he does. Oh, no, he won't. Yep, touchdown. You can't arm tackle MJ Griffin.
No, you cannot, and that's exactly what Saline needed. That is huge for the Hornets. Offense was struggling a little bit, and that's exactly what the doctor ordered for them. I said he was the big explosive play threat. You know, and it's just so hard to stop a beat like that.
Well, the beauty of that is they still have 3 timeouts. We're pretty sure that Turner's going to boot it in the end zone. And the defense has stepped it up here in the second quarter. Let's see if we can make Catholic Central do a little something silly. we gave up a score last week late in the first half, and that had kind of come back to bite us. Maybe we can pull that same thing off this week, return the favor. I see we have more fans tuning in to listening. I see we got Neil Covington listening in tonight out of Dexter. You know, he said there are not a lot of wins coming out of Dexter this year, so he's tuning into the Saline game. So that's always good to see Neil listening in tonight.
Well, Dexter hasn't won a game in several years. I believe they have the longest active losing streak in the entire state of Michigan. However, they're playing Ann Arbor Huron next week, and they both haven't won games. I want to say Huron, it's been over 4 years, and Dexter, it's been almost 6 years. So one of those teams is going to get their first win.
I still think that there's a coaching opportunity for you, Nathan, at one of those two schools. So you never know. As we know, I don't think it could get worse for them.
No, it can't. No, it's like, and it's just, what? Dexter's never been a huge football powerhouse, but Huron back in the day was pretty good. I mean, and maybe it's just been the larger Ann Arbor schools in general. I mean, we heard about the hit squad with Ann Arbor Pioneer, Antoine Simmons, and their first game, they were playing Muskegon at the Big House, lost 42-14, and they never recovered. Right. You know, Pioneer's been a 3-4 win team every year, as Skyline only had 2 wins last year, and they went 4-5 the year before. I mean, it's been 4 years since there's been one Ann Arbor team with over a 500 record. I mean, they've just been anemic, and it's been really shocking to say the least, because you'd think one of them would be okay, because the red is not exactly a huge powerhouse, and neither's the white. You know, and
well, I think what you see there is, though, that when Skyline came into existence, used to be Pioneer and Huron were the 2 largest schools in the state of Michigan, and when Skyline came in, that shifted the balance of power and the talent, and a lot of kids wanted to go to Skyline because it was the new school, and I don't think they've adjusted yet. So here it is, first down at the 21-yard line with 50.
Clock run down here. And with the way the first half was going with some of the turnovers, can't necessarily say I blame them here. And it looks like we're going to go to the half with a 7-7 game in Saline, with having 2 turnovers, questionable officiating, among everything else.
The jump, Catholic Central jump. Now, that surprised me you say that, conservative, because you're the gunslinger. You're the one that says go for it on 4th down in your own territory. I'm surprised you would say that, Nathan.
Well, if it was me, I think you do have to take a hard look at it. But at the same time, I understand wholeheartedly that you don't need to necessarily press the envelope here. Your defense has been playing well. Get to the locker room.
Now we call a timeout.
Yeah.
No, and you're right. I was just teasing you a little bit there. It's just you know, we are going to be able to regroup. We have a tie football game with 23 seconds remaining here in the first half, and it's the only thing I was thinking is if you can hold them to a punt, their punter is questionable at best.
With 23 seconds left, though, the question now begs, 2nd and 14, if Saline does call a couple timeouts, or if they just let the clock run down, then obviously that's that. But if they do call a couple timeouts, Saline's just going to have 1 return. They're not going to have any offensive plays or anything. They're going to have 1 chance and 1 chance only.
That's why when there was, after that first play with 46 seconds remaining, but who are we to say? So remember, folks, we don't have a home game next week. We're on the road to Ypsilanti Lincoln, so we want to make sure you get out there. We will not be broadcasting that game. We only do the home games this year, or every year. So make sure you get out and support the Hornets. Should be a good contest. Lincoln has vastly improved over the last several years, and should be an excellent football game. And if we can settle in on 3 or 4 quarterbacks, I think we'll be fine. Actually, I think Coach Puck is going to bring it down to 1 after tonight. But like I say, I truly believe he's trying it out and see who he has. And that's the only way to do it really is in live competition. Practice just isn't the same.
Well, what I definitely think is going to happen is I think you're going to have Greenwood taking the majority of the snaps, but they will have Griffin. He's not going to be the full-time quarterback, but he's definitely going to get several snaps a game out of the Wildcat formation.
Saline does call another timeout. Stop the clock with 17 seconds to go. Wells on the carry. Gets it, so it'll be 3rd and 9.
So I definitely do think that that's an opportunity that he is going to have. And see, Luke Hoyt is the one wearing the boot out there. I know we had that transfer. I think his name's Larry Robinson. He's a quarterback. And he's a freshman who got promoted to JV, mainly because he has the athleticism at quarterback that Saline hasn't seen since Josh Jackson. And I truly mean that. I mean, the kid's an absolute stud, and he's only a freshman. In a couple of years, Saline's going to be well positioned at the quarterback spot.
And speaking of Josh Jackson, he has a big game to start the season this weekend as his number 20 ranked Virginia Tech Hokies take on Florida State. So it should be, we're going to learn a lot about Josh. Josh has had an excellent college career thus far, starting as a true freshman. So it'll be interesting.
Well, what did they go last year? 9-3 or 8-4, something like that. They played very well in the ACC, which is, in my opinion, other than the SEC, the toughest conference in football. So he did very well. He had some academic issues over the summer, was able to get that resolved, thankfully. And he's got the potential. If he has another good year, he could be an NFL draft prospect, and I truly mean that. Saline, the only other Saline football player that's ever really been in the NFL was Chris Baker, a tight end. Here we had Tabor Pepper, who was a long snapper.
Collins back pass. Oh, very suspect pass interference, a late one from the side judge who was running right along with the play. Doesn't make that call, and the back judge does. Just a questionable call on that. He was running stride for stride with him, had his hands in the air. There is going to be a little incidental contact. It's just part of the football game. So,
well, and the other thing too that I have to wonder is that even a catchable pass, because he didn't interfere with them at all to the extent that he would have been able. That ball was overthrown quite a bit. And I tell you what, these officials have had a very, 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 very rough first half, just flat out.
Well, the good thing about that, it's just a 10-yard penalty, or is it a 15-yard penalty?
Doesn't make much of a difference.
Doesn't make much of a difference
at all at this point of the game. You know, but I'll tell you what, though, and I was thinking about this.
Well, what it meant is that Saline would have had the ball, because it would have been they would have had to punt, and they would have had a chance to run one more play. But now, unless something crazy happens, they will not. Hands inside to Wells. He runs it over the middle.
And that'll do it for the first half, I believe. If Saline's able to come back and win this game, if they can, this first four-game stretch, if they can go 2-2, I think that's got to be their goal, because we all know how weak the SEC Red is going to be, and they would be thrilled to go 2-2. And at the half, 7-7 Saline, MJ Griffin on a simple draw play is able to break one for 80 yards, and we will be back to bring you guys the second half of this non-conference matchup between the Saline Hornets and the Grand Rapids Catholic Cougars.
With Grumman to Holden Collins on the podium, here is Rush's 1981 hit, Tom Sawyer.
That's one way of putting it. That's one way of putting it. To put it bluntly.
Fans, there have been a set of keys turned into the press box from the Saline side. Toyota car. And an awesome spider. Please come to the press box if these are your keys. Not going on.
That looks like something from the student section. Defensive line can keep the momentum. They were pumped up those last 3 drives.
Yeah, the defense clearly, yeah. They really kept Collins off balance.
Big thing's going to be hopefully that there isn't enough pressure to the point that they'll go back for it.
No, the thing is, once you're getting pressure, it gives your D-backs a little more confidence. They don't play flat-footed. Actually, Utah State's ahead now. 14-13.
Yeah, I kicked the extra point to go ahead.
Utah's another one of those get the quirky little offense, you know what I mean?
Locked in a tie ball game with the Grand Rapids Cougars. Saline scoring as the result of an 80-yard touchdown run by MJ Griffin. Despite 2 fumbles from Saline as well as several other penalties, among other self-inflicted wounds, the Hornets find themselves in a very winnable game. It's going to be important for them to have Turner pin this ball in the back of the end zone, give Grand Rapids a long field, 75 yards to go to try and score a touchdown, and hopefully Saline's able to pin them deep and get the ball rather quickly here.
And we saw the defense really step up in that second quarter. They played a much better brand of football and kept Collins off balance. And if we can carry that momentum over here in the second half, should be a better outcome than last week.
Absolutely. I think that if Saline's able to play just a little bit better. Oh, they're going to go with the onside.
Oh, they got it. Swing ball.
Did it go 10 yards?
Oh,
There's a
you
penalty.
gotta be.
Another bad call.
He went 10 yards. I'm sorry. This is getting ridiculous.
Well, we better wait and see what the call is before we jump to any conclusions.
Did not touch it.
The officials are conferring.
Maybe they'll pick the flag up or something. It looks like maybe that's what they're doing. So I thought it went 10 yards.
Is that illegal touching? Is that
Yes.
sounds so weird.
So like we say, just like the players are inexperienced, a lot of these high school officials are inexperienced. That's why they're here.
At least they're talking about it. I'll
Yep.
give them that. That's more
Yeah.
important than just one guy unilaterally sticking to his opinion. If you're unsure, you know, have the judges talk about what
We're
they
going to hear
saw.
what he says. They're picking up the flag.
Swing ball.
Oh, but they
Flag on the play. No flag.
but they're giving the ball to Catholic. Yep, they're giving it to Saline. So Saline recovered the onside kick. Just like I talked last week about that, that's something that Polka has been known to do. He's done it several times over his career, and with Catholic Central not probably getting a lot of tape on Saline.
And now they're giving it back to Grand Rapids. Now they're pointing in the direction of Grand Rapids.
Grand Rapids Catholic.
So we don't know what's going on now. So the official's going to come over and say, this is how we're cheating you now. I mean, oh, sorry. Just a joke.
Well, so they had a flag. They picked it up. They pointed to Grand Rapids, and they pointed to Saline, and now they're pointing to Grand Rapids. Yeah, that made no sense.
So apparently they're ruling that Catholic Central recovered the onside kick. It's the only thing that we can say.
Wow, that's a good way to start things out.
So, but it's all right. That's the defense has got to step up, like we said at halftime. So
32 starting in the backfield.
Wells in the backfield along with Collins.
Saline's defense now with Grand Rapids ball at the 50
Hands off
line.
to Wells. He goes lateral. He's met in the backfield and dropped for about a 5-yard loss. That's a beautiful play by Jonah Ashby. Penetrated into the backfield and drove him back.
That's a great play there by Ashby, completely demolished. And I tell you what, though, the one thing I've really been impressed with Saline, when they had setbacks last week, you didn't see them respond the way that you would have wanted them to. They've done a lot better this week. They would have been very easy for them to sulk their heads because, let's be honest, they've had a lot of factors that they haven't been able to control, and so far they've done a very good job responding very well.
Flag
There's
on
gonna
the
be
play.
another flag. I think it's going to be on Grand Rapids. Normally when it's thrown from that side, it's probably either going to be an illegal motion or a false start or something like that.
Tackled by number 12.
But just to give you an idea on this, the ref tried to blow it dead in the middle of the play. So again, it's just a little inexperience by the officiating crew. So let's see what the call is.
Now you're going to have another official come in.
So if there's no flag on the play, it's
gonna be a
illegal
false start.
procedure. Yeah, false start.
On
We're going to have to start playing.
False start on Catholic Central.
That's a good job by Saline there. Now Grand Rapids really backing themselves up. Now it's going to be 2nd and 18. Yeah, phenomenal after that onside kick that appeared to go in the favor of the Hornets. Saline doing a really good job right now, coming out and punching Grand Rapids in the mouth.
2nd and 18.
So it'll bring up 2nd and 18. It's on the 42-yard line, their own 42-yard line. But for that penalty, they had a nice pass completion on there. So again, we got to keep the pressure on Collins. D-back's got to step up. Collins in an empty backfield, drops back, steps up. He's chased, throws it out in the flat.
Complete the 32.
Well, they've
Complete
gotten a
to
lot.
Wells. Picked up about 10 on the play.
They've gotten a lot more pressure though, even on that play that was supposed to be blown dead. Gamma was able to come in at the end of that play and knock their cornerback on his butt. So
Huge
they're getting more
spot there.
pressure, yeah.
They gave a nice spot for Wells there. So it's 3rd and 5 now on their Saline 45-yard line. I thought they pushed him out quite a bit earlier than that, but hard to see with all the players on the sidelines. So Collins in the backfield. Saline shows blitz, and they come. And they intercepted by Connor Terry.
And that is a huge play for Saline. I think from now on they're gonna be bringing pressure almost every down, because every time they've been able to do it, that was huge. Gamble, they've not been able to contain him at all tonight. When Saline's been able to bring pressure, as soon as their quarterback's gotten the snap, he's been running for his life. And after all that, Saline gets the field position almost right where the onside kick would have been.
We just burned about a minute of time on the clock.
Pretty much, yeah.
So Ferrari back in at quarterback.
Saline now going to be looking. The momentum is definitely swung in the favor of the Hornets. Home crowd alive. The student section for the Hornets is alive. Saline appears to be on the precipice of taking.
Pass out to Milanzak. Takes a hit.
Ferrari's pass is complete to number 1, Colby.
And boy, he got thrown like a rag doll down to once again pops right back up. That was Matt Moore who threw Milanzak to the ground.
Pickup of 9 brings up 2nd and 1 at the 43-yard line.
Brings up 2nd and 1.
I think he frustrates defenders. He's not an easy tackle.
He's not an easy tackle, and just when you think you haven't beat, you throw him down with all your might, and he pops right back up. You know, the kid doesn't get down. Monday's gonna fall forward for a first down.
Inside the 40 to about the 38-yard line. First down, Saline.
Tackled by number 50, Sam Summerdike.
Saline now first down at the 38-yard line. With 10.5 minutes to go here in the third quarter. And you just get the feeling if Saline's able to punch it in here, they're really going to, because they've had the ball deep in that. It's just been a myriad of different things that have hurt them so far.
Pass out to Malaza, and he drops the ball. They ruled it incomplete. Good call. He tried to move before he caught it.
He did, but even if he would have caught it, he would have been hit hard because I think it was Griffin on that side that didn't get the block as well as he should have. He had a guy right in his face, so.
Well, that's a long pass. But, you know, that's something that if they're confident in Ferrari being able to throw that across the field like that, he must have decent arm strength on that play. He's going to go back to the shotgun. Steps up in the pack. Ooh. Now that's a
pass Milanzak's got to catch. That was a great throw.
But he got drilled.
He did get drilled, but that was a good throw by.
Yeah. Hit him in the hands.
That was a great throw by Arbol. I tell you what I saw, though, is here the pocket collapsed, and he had 6-7 yards to run. He had an easy opportunity to get 6 or 7 yards. Because what I saw was Ayers able to completely drive out the 3-tech on the right side, and you had St. Lawrence on the left side. They're only running a 3 front, so Saline does have a little bit more room to operate. Now it's going to be 3rd and long here for the Hornets, and you definitely want to see them. You don't want to see another drive stall here.
Pass out to Monday. Carries it down inside the 35 to the 33-yard line.
So it's going to
bring it up 4th and 5.
4th and 5. Yeah, I think you're going to be clearly in 4-down territory here for the Hornets.
I think the way their defense is playing, I think that's a true statement. He got a chunk of it back. Now it's a more doable 4th down. With this pursuit, like you say, a quarterback draw or something of that nature, let's see if they over pursue. 12 seconds left on the play clock, and it's timeout.
Well, they tried to freeze him and tried to get him to jump off sides, but that's what disciplined teams do. Saline was able to get Chippewa Valley to jump off sides in the first quarter of last week's game. However, Grand Rapids not biting there. Saline now on 4th and 5. Polka is going to be able to draw something up here. If I had to guess, I would either say I'm surprised that Griffin's not back out there right now, because even if it's a Wildcat formation, I think he's going to be able to get it. But if he doesn't go back in there, what I think they do is they probably go with a short pass to Milanzak, because that's been a lot of their bread and butter. But
the same thing. Polka's got to find out what he has at quarterback.
He does. He does. Well, we saw Greenwood earlier, and now it's been Ferrari, and they've just kind of been alternating.
And Ferrari's back out there again.
And I would be not surprised at all if I had to guess they're going to throw a little out pass to Griffin. They're going to get it into Griffin's hands here one way or another. I'd be very, very surprised if they did. Very surprised.
Fakes the handoff, rolls out. Pass to Murphy. Carries it down, bowls his way down inside the 15-yard line. I think that's what Catholic Central thought it was going to Griffin. They used him as a decoy. He rolls out and hit his big tight end, Brendan Murphy, for a first down. A big, big play. So it's first down Saline at the 15-yard line.
And now you got Morrison and Griffin checking out. I tell you what I saw, though. Ferrari got hit after that play. Carter St. Lawrence was running a 345, which is when the left guard pulls and blocks out the defensive end. And all the other offensive linemen slide down. Didn't do a great job blocking his guy there, but Ferrari doing a great job standing in the pocket, taking a hit, and that was a false start in 3 quarters by Blazak. They're lucky that that play was blown dead, because that would have been a disaster for the Hornets if it hadn't been blown dead.
So with 9:09 remaining, it'll be first and 15 from the 20-yard line.
That'll bring up first.
So they bring Ferrari back in and put Griffin back out at receiver. Or is he coming complete? No, he's back out at receiver.
Enrico's coming off here. Grant Sitterly's going to check in. They've been rotating a lot of receivers and a lot of quarterbacks. A lot of moving parts for the Hornets.
Pass to Griffin, a nice screen play. Carries it down inside the 10 and be down to the 8-yard line. Will be 2nd and 3 from the 8.
And I tell you what, that was another good throw by Ferrari. Give the kid credit. I mean, earlier in the game he was lifting some of his throws a little bit, but now he's throwing them right in the chest. That was the second very good throw this drive. Really encouraging to see, because he was able to complete some of those passes earlier where they didn't have as much juice on them and they were floating a little bit more.
Now we have both Scott and Monday in the backfield. Hand off to Monday, keeps his legs churning, gets it down inside the 7, just short of the 6-yard line.
And that's encouraging to see. They'll be able to take that here. It looks like it's going to be about 3rd and 2.
Tackle by number 16.
If you're Saline here, I think this is 4-down territory here. With the way your defense has been playing, there's absolutely no way that you can kick a field goal here. I know it gives you the lead, but I think it's touchdown or bust at this point, because if they go up ahead by a touchdown with everything that they've been through, this would be a heck of a performance by the Hornets.
Monday in the backfield, takes the handoff, carries it inside, touchdown. Beautiful. Right over the right side.
Absolutely huge play for Saline. Saline jumps ahead 13-7. And they have the Division IV champs on the ropes here, and that is great to see. Great to see. And they've run the ball a lot better than they have last week. A lot better.
They seem to be far more balanced this week.
They do seem to be far more balanced, and they've been able to keep the foot on the gas pedal, and they've had a lot more setbacks this week that they've responded to a lot better.
Turner's kick is up, and it's good, and Saline now leads 14-7 with 7:39 remaining here in the 3rd quarter. We do have a lot more people tuning in this week. We got Jeff Long up there in the Flint area. We have Chris Gilbert out there in Wisconsin listening to our game. We have Rush Bush over in Ann Arbor listening to the game. It's good to see all you people who can't make it out to the game today tuning in. I know you all want to listen to Nathan and all his insight in this game, so I appreciate all the listeners.
That's a heck of a drive there by Saline. And I tell you what, if they're able to defeat the Division IV champs today, with all the quarterbacking platoon that they've had, with all the questionable whatever, there's a lot of things that you can wonder about this Hornets team. One thing you can't wonder about is the heart. They have played with everything that they've had, and Wisniewski and Tarek have played out of their minds here tonight. I'm sure in the locker room, Coach Wilson, who's the defensive coordinator, said they needed more from him. Dwayne Wilson took over for Ron Shields as defensive coordinator for the Hornets, former XFL football player. And I tell you what, definitely they both got the message, because they've been playing out of their minds. Wilson actually played at Ferris State way back in the day, in the prehistoric days of football. I think he's in the Ferris State Hall of Fame, if I'm not mistaken. I think I remember him telling me that once. Turner with the kickoff, and that is going to go way into the end zone.
Touchback.
Tell you, there are not a lot of kickers in high school football that are able to kick it 6 yards deep in the end zone like that. Huge asset for Saline, huge.
And that's been the truth for Saline for the last several years. And so it's, and several of those former kickers are now in major college programs.
Well, you had Ryan Tice, you have Will Breen, Ben Stankovic, who Stankovic went to the Navy. Thank you for your service, Ben, if you're listening. They had Vinny Pateri last year, who was rotating in with Turner. Pateri now kicking for Eastern Michigan, who is currently beating Monmouth rather handily as college football starts today and tomorrow. Saline now doing a really good job pinning Grand Rapids deep at the 20-yard line. Grand Rapids going to have to march 80 yards here if they hope to tie up the game.
And again, as they put pressure on Collins, and as we see, he turned the ball over or made poor decisions. Even if he turned it over last time to Tarek, and he's getting chased out of the pocket again. Nice catch. Very nice catch on that play, and great pursuit.
That's a great play by Monty Green on the pursuit there, as he's with Greenwood running in and out between quarterback and safety. That's a good job by him there. He was a really good player last year, plays really hard, fills the hole strong. And with 7 minutes to go here.
Brings up 2nd and 6 from the 24-yard line. Flag on the play.
Looks like a false start, and Grand Rapids starting to come unravel a little bit here. That is really good to see. They're falling apart at the wrong time.
False start, Catholic Central.
And with the way Saline's defense has been playing, they can't afford to keep doing that, but we'll take it. We will absolutely take it.
That'll bring up 2nd and 11.
Well, that's the way the offense used to look when you were on the defensive side of the ball. They'd get nervous, they start jumping, they get flinchy, and so you can understand it.
Well, they would get nervous because I was a 15-year-old that sounded like a grown man. They had scared them more than my physical build ever would have.
Whatever works. So now it's 2nd and 11.
Saban out the one. Ted Gamo switches over to the 3.
Handoff inside.
That is good.
Oh my goodness.
It wasn't even close. It was a
Run by number 8, Grabo.
And Griffin's going to get called for a face mask, and it didn't look like a flag there, but
Eric Grabo on the carry. I think what we're seeing in the officials is positioning. The officials that are calling these plays are not in the proper position, or they're not where they should. They're not the officials that should be making that call. He was trailing the play from the backside, so he couldn't see the front of the player. And this is the stuff that they have an official at all these games. A lot of times they have them up here in the box with us. They review the plays, and they'll work with them later in the season, and the coaches will give reviews and stuff. So, we have to overcome that. That's what high school football is, and we'll go from there.
We will.
First down.
So
all I'm going to say is I don't think any one of these officials is going to get graded extremely highly by. Well, and the one thing that is important to remember is they are graded by the MHSAA, and that assigns play. The later you get into the playoffs, it's the good referees that get good grades, like especially for the NFL, especially for the MLB.
Right.
For the MLB, you have the All-Star Game umpires, you have the playoff umpires, and they are assigned based on how they're grading. A lot of times it comes with a pay raise too. They get paid more for the playoff games.
Another run. Grabo by Grabo, picked up about 2, maybe 3 yards on the play, brings up 2nd and
bring up 2nd down.
And 7. I'll make it 8. They spotted it back. It's a good pursuit on the defense. Didn't let him outside, kept it contained.
That was good pursuit too. I know Griffin got called for the face mask, but that's a good job of him coming far side. But Morrison does a good job there, running his butt off there, forcing him to the sideline. He's going to have a hard time cutting back inside with all the Hornets pursuing.
Again, it looks like Saline's going to bring pressure, and they come right up the middle and just swarming. So, unfortunately, that's a play call that the quarterback's got to check out of, or the coach has got to see, because they saw him all bunch in the middle, and he draws a handoff up the gut, and there was nowhere for Grabo to go on that play.
And now they're behind the line of scrimmage here, and I tell you what, Saline had just, despite having wave after wave after wave after wave of difficulties from various outside forces, they've done exemplary job. I mean, they have just shut down. Grand Rapids hasn't had any time to get the ball out. They were having success when Saline wasn't forcing pressure. And that's not a good throw at all. That's good coverage, good tight coverage by the Hornets. And now Grand Rapids, I believe, is going to have to bring out their punt team here, too. 4th and 11 at the 39.
And Collins felt the pressure from Gammo coming from the outside. I think he had more time than he thought he did, but he saw him coming and he said, I don't want to get hit again.
And this is what you're seeing, a 14-0 team last year that won the Division IV championship, and now they're going to one of the best Division I schools. It's just that level of competition that is so different. You know, this is something that, you know, with all due respect, there's a big difference between playing Saline and beating Edwardsburg. There just is. You know, you're playing a 400, 500 student school every single game.
Bad snap again, almost blocked, but they get a good roll on it.
And now it's going to start. Now it's going to die at about the 35. It's still a good field position for the Hornets.
Now, one of the things that I always comment on, and as we talked about this a little bit last week, this is good experience for our Saline team. Overcoming officials and stuff. You could get rattled. You could get upset. You see Coach Palka doesn't do it. He talks to the official very calmly, like you mentioned in the first half. That the kids understand that. They feed off of that. They go, oh, Coach has got it under control. He's got our back. And look, we got the ball at our own 30-yard line, still decent field position, and we moved the ball well last time on offense.
Well, he was upset at that one official as the pass interference to end the half. He was reaming them a little bit, but I've been really impressed.
Malonzak takes the pass and dragged down at the 48-yard line by number 3, Matt Moore.
And I tell you what, if Saline, if they're able for this 2-game stretch is going to be the hardest of their schedule. They have Ypsilanti and Bedford coming up who are good, who are both very good. I wonder what Ypsilanti Lincoln's going to be able to present them with next week. I mean, it's going to be the Hornets' first test on the road. You know, it's something that they're going to have to get used to. You know, they're not going to be able to play at the friendly confines of Saline every single week. However, Ypsilanti Lincoln is Division III, and they lost their starting quarterback, but they're returning a lot on the defensive side of the ball, but they lost a lot on the offensive side of the ball. So
Alonzak breaks the tackle again and gets another first down.
Boy, him and Griffin are quick.
They are quick.
Saline
Speed kills.
Speed in. Saline, the last several years, they've had size at the receiving position with Turner and Dively, but they haven't really had a guy that can just blow the top off of the secondary. And I think, especially with Malonzak and Griffin, and they have more speed, especially at the receiving core, than they have the last several years.
So it brings up 1st and 10 from the Catholic Central 41-yard line.
Saline starting to move the ball again, and Farrar really starting to settle into. Really impressed with what he's been able to do.
Hand off inside. Monday keeps it, picks up a 4. Bring up 2nd and 6, and again, now we're getting that balance in. We're getting that. That's what we got. 2 quick passes, now we carry the ball. And it makes the defense respect.
It does make the defense respect. And that's a good run for them. You know, that's a 4-yard run. They've been running it so much better than they were last week. I know Lyle Jads, who I played under for 4 years, I know the emphasis that they place on running the football. And Saline likes to have that smash mouth approach. It's a little bit of a mix between more of the old-fashioned style of football and the West Coast offense. You know, they have a little bit of everything.
Hand off inside to Hayden Scott. Carries it down inside the 10. Down inside the 5. No, it's actually Monday. Scott was in the backfield with him, but Monday took it and carried it down to the 5-yard line. It would be 1st and goal to go. Saline at the 5-yard line with 4:32 remaining here in the 3rd quarter.
And I don't think you can say enough about the coaching staff. You know, I know a lot of people were a little critical about the way Palka had scheduled all these hard teams. You think, you know, it probably would have been easier to schedule a smaller school and maybe a Canadian team to start off 2-0. But the thing you have to remember, folks, is they don't get anything from beating those teams in terms of playoff points. They don't gain anything. They'll gain a lot from, even though they lost to Chippewa Valley. Chippewa Valley is going to win a lot of games, and they'll gain a lot if they're able to hold on against Grand Rapids. But these are the kind of teams that you're going to have to beat. You know, going 9-0, and with all due respect, going 9-0 and beating Huron, Skyline, Pioneer, you know, it depends on what your idea of accomplishment is, but, you know, when you have a team that hasn't won a game in 5 years, it begins to feel like, you know, it's not as much of an accomplishment, and that's the bottom line.
The problem with that is they're in our conference, and we don't get a choice not to schedule them. Again, the handoff inside to Monday. And this is where we struggled with Chippewa Valley last week. We had it 1st and goal from the 5 twice in the first quarter and settled for field goals. And now we're at 3rd and goal from the 9 on two handoffs. So we'll see what they dial up here. Maybe if, and just thinking, they don't pay us the big money to coach this high school football team, but that's where you maybe do a little mix-up with the Wildcat on one of those 2 plays if you're really thinking about running it.
Well, here's the thing. If they're able to get 6 or 7 yards, I think they go for it. But if they're not able, I think you go for it here. I don't think there's any question about what you do right now. They're at the 2-yard line. If they don't get it, Grand Rapids is going to be pinned deep, and Saline's going to be bringing all the pressure they can, trying to get a safety. And the Hornets, there is no way that they do not go for it here.
So it's 3rd and 3, or 4th and 2. 4th and 2 at the 2-yard line, so 4th and goal from the 2. Ferrari in the backfield.
With the way the Hornets defense has been playing,
they're going to take a timeout here because the play clock's going to expire.
Saline's defense has been playing so well, it's going to be really hard for Grand Rapids to get 98 yards if they're not able to get it. I completely agree with this decision. Because if they're able to get another touchdown here, Grand Rapids is really going to be in deep trouble.
But the other school of thought on that is that if you go up 2 scores and Catholic Central hasn't scored since early on in this football game, your defense is playing well, you're going to force them over the last quarter to score twice, and I don't know if Catholic Central can do that.
Well, I don't know if they can do that either, but the other thing, I think you kick a field goal, you get 3 points. They're at the 2-yard line, and with the way, as many tackles as they've had for loss, if Saline stacks the box, I don't think that there's any way that Grand Rapids has enough guys to block all of them. I think they're in a huge spot to get a safety, if you want my honest opinion.
That's the riverboat gambler I was waiting for all night, Nathan. There you go, baby. That's it. So, it's this is why the coaches do what they do, and they know their squad. They're at practice every day. They know what the
good snap, good hold, and the kick is perfect. And Saline takes a 17-7 lead.
With 3:03 remaining here in the 3rd quarter.
Saline 17, Catholic Central 7.
And I don't know what you would have done there. I understand completely the thought of it, but I just think that was a little bit of a too good opportunity to pass when you have such a big as a running back as Saline does, when you've been running it with the success that they have, and with how small Grand Rapids is on the interior, I don't think you have anything to lose. However, we're not the ones that get paid the big bucks.
Exactly. So it's good to get the points on the board. We've 2 drives in this half, and we've got 2 scores out of them. So
exactly.
let's put the defense back on the field. Let's pin them back deep. Have Turner bury it deep in the end zone and see if we can't get that ball back in great field position again and put another score up. I think it's a different game now. If you're a 2-score lead, now you're going to go for the touchdown in that situation. Now, because a field goal really doesn't do a lot for you, because they're going to try. They're going to need 2 touchdowns. So now you have a chance to open things up and be more aggressive.
Turner now with the kick from the 40-yard line, and that ball,
he lofts it up there. He wanted to see if they can get, and he fumbles it into the end zone. Oh yeah, it's the automatic touchback.
Kick travels into the end zone for a touchdown.
Yeah, boy, if that was college or the NFL, that'd have been a world of trouble for Grand Rapids. However, it is an automatic touchback, nothing to lose there, and Saline now is going to be trying to pin Grand Rapids deep at the 20-yard line.
And one of the things that they really have to try and do now is no penalties. No penalties. We've picked up some penalties. They know where the officials are. They're calling a fairly tight game. And while we may thought that there's some question calls, there's been a lot of calls in this game.
There have been a lot of calls, but while you can't make penalties, you still have to continue to play aggressive. I think sometimes if you worry about not fouling, then that takes the aggressiveness that's been made so successful. I'd rather have a team that makes
over deep in their own territory, but their play calling has changed dramatically since that first quarter. Their sequencing of plays.
And I don't necessarily know if this point of the game if they can continue to go conservative. And now Saline's going to bring the pressure again, but the problem is You know, I don't think they trust their offensive line to give their quarterback 5 seconds to let those receivers get down the field. To be perfectly honest with you.
I mean, Graybo's been the workhorse, but I mean, he's
Tackle by 90.
you know, he's getting 3 yards a carry, and that's going to make him. It's 3rd and 4, but if he gets another 3 yards, it'll be 4th and 1. And I just don't see him going for it on their own 29-yard line, down by 10, with 2 minutes left here in the third quarter. So they got to do something different. I hope they don't, but
when they're trying to freeze them, the one thing that I don't necessarily understand. Yeah, well, they're gonna.
And again, they give it to Graybo again, and he's met behind the line of scrimmage and driven back. It's just a very questionable play calling by Catholic Central, and we showed no pressure on that. They really didn't bring any pressure. So I don't know if Catholic Central's overthinking it at this point or whatever, but I like it.
I do too, because they're not used to losing. They're not used to going into an environment like this. They're used to going, with all due respect, they're used to going to schools up north that have tiny little stadiums and that have 50 people in attendance. Not, with all due respect, Saline's almost like a Division III college for football. With the way the facilities are, with the way the expectations are. I mean, there are some colleges that don't have a brand new Jumbotron like Saline does.
A bad snap again.
And that is a really bouncing kick, and Malenzak going to pick up the short hop.
And carries it inside to Saline. It's inside Catholic Central territory, so we'll have it 1st down and 10 at the 49-yard line at Catholic Central. And you're right on that. But another challenge for them is they had to drive 2.5, 3 hours to get here today. And if you're not used to that kind of travel and getting ready and getting out of school early and doing all those other things, it'll be interesting. So,
well, I believe what happened was they have a home and away. So all I know for Saline next year, what that means is they're going to have to travel to Chippewa Valley, which is an hour and a half away on Lake St. Clair, and then they have to go the next week 3 hours away to Grand Rapids. Oh,
Ferrari, he got a little skittish there. He thought there was more pressure, and he tucked the ball a little early. That's all right. Again, that's what you got to see. You're trying to get some experience here, and it's the first real pressure he's felt this half, and so, you know.
Well, there was some pressure on the backside, but the one thing that I think Saline's really got to be focusing on here, let the clock run down, but you can't have any turnovers. If you go 3 and out, you go 3 and out. You have a punter and Cropsey and Turner who can pin them deep, and your defense has been playing lights out. You just can't have that one little mistake.
Griffin again, nice play, cuts it back inside, keeps his leg turned, and picks up the 1st down.
And that is going to give Saline 1st down here as the third quarter looks like it's about to expire. Saline really starting to
flex their muscles now.
Exactly. And it's been really encouraging to see. Very
and that'll be the end of the third quarter.
And that is the end of the third
Saline 1 quarter away from going to 1-1 on the year.
On top, 17, Catholic Central.
It's not always been pretty, but at this point, their schedule after the next, when we've talked about this, folks, after this game, they have a couple harder games, and then it gets much easier. Once you start playing Skyline, once you start playing Huron, they'll be fine. So if they're able to get out of this stretch, they need ideally to win one of the next 2 games. Whether it be Bedford.
Ideally, they need to win both of the next 2 games.
I know.
In the worst case scenario, you want to split the next 2 games.
Exactly. And because if they're able to win the next 2 games, I mean, you could very well be talking about them going 8-1, 7-2, because I think they're going to roll through conference play like they always do. And Grand Blanc did make it to the playoffs last year, like Saline. They kind of got clubbed in the 1st round, but Saline, I don't know if I think they might be traveling to Grand Blanc. I have to look at the schedule.
They are on the road to Grand Blanc for the last game of the season.
So that's going to make quite a little bit of a drive for them. But overall, I mean, look at it this way. They don't have to play at Monroe this year. They don't have to play at Bedford this year. That's huge for them. That is it. For a young team, talking from experience, playing at Bedford is a different animal. It just is. And they're the 2 longest drives. They played at Monroe last year. They played at Bedford. Now they play both of those games home, and that's huge for them. I mean, they have to go. I'm trying to think. They have to go on the road at Pioneer, which is 10 minutes down the road. But like as far as like having to get on a bus and go an hour and a half down the road, the only way they have to do that is against Grand Blanc, which they'll take. They will take. And it's important that Saline got that Week 9 game, because the last 2 times that they haven't had a Week 9 game, they've gotten killed by Canton. First time was when they lost 27-7.
Handoff to Scott on the inside, and he was swarmed under. Brings up second and about 14.
And I think you're going to start to see Saline's play calling become rather conservative here. I don't think they're going to take many shots with an inexperienced quarterback. I mean, yeah, so what? You lose 4 yards. You take 40 seconds off the clock. Not the end of the world by any stretch of the imagination.
Now, Grand Blanc, just to go back to that, is historically a good program. They were in my conference when I played high school football a year or so ago. And their starting quarterback back then was a guy by the name of Steve Smith, who went on to quarterback the University of Michigan. So they're a big school, probably one of the better programs in the Flint area, along with Carmen. Nice pass. Oh, Milanzak was open, but he threw it behind him. But it looked like a good pass until it sailed behind. Timing was off.
It was, and those are the hard passes to make. I don't think they're going to be overly aggressive here. I think, 3rd and 13, they're going to try to do something quick. I think either give it to Griffin or give it to Milanzak. Milanzak coming off. Now it looks like they're going to have 2 running backs in the field, and Sitterly, or Monday's going to check out now. And Smith's normally the one that either goes in to pick up the 3 or 4 yards, but a lot of times he's just a blocking back too. He's a power back like Monday. Now they're going to roll out, and he does come in for blocking.
And he's just...
Saline's not had a lot of success with the rollout. That's the second time, and that's the second sack that they've had. They'll shore that up, but it's those kind of things, talking from experience. I know whenever we wouldn't run a play well in practice, you just cut it out of the playbook. It was, well, if we can't... I remember after we lost to Rockford, we practiced so bad the Monday after against Mumford, and I remember Paulka yelling at us that he goes, we have 50 plays in the playbook, and if we can't run this, so help me God, I'm just going to run the wing tee every single play. So, it's... Good
snap. Not the best kick in the world. Going to be maybe about the line of scrimmage where they mark it out. Oh, he's keeping walking, though. Yeah, it was not a good punt. Matter of fact, it was going to be a 10-yard punt.
Crafty shanked it. Yeah, that's not a great punt.
So that's where the first time really this season, other than a fumbled snap on a punt, where the special teams has had a little difficulty. But again, the defense is playing great, and they got to step up and see if they can hold them or get the ball back on a turnover.
Well, the clock's their friend, too. There's only 10 minutes left to go in the game, and that's really important. Grand Rapids not really showing any sort of inclination to pass the ball at all, but this is kind of do-or-die time for them. They have to find a way to at least get 3 on the board to make this a one-possession game again.
So it's Collins and Wells in the backfield for Catholic Central.
Saline showing pressure again. I'm going to back off. Tarek backs
off. Fake the handoff. And he is drilled. Collins is drilled in the backfield by number 90, Ashby. He held that ball too long. He was waiting for the big pass. And again, that's like I talked earlier in the game for Saline's quarterback. He's got to have a mental clock in his head. It's just not that much time. He's got to get rid of it.
Well, you're absolutely right. But the other thing, too, is he did have a little bit of time. I mean, you can't expect your linemen to... Saline's defensive linemen are bigger and stronger than Grand Rapids'. Let's be, completely honest. And you have to know that if it's not there, you have to be able to dump it off.
Handoff inside. Pick up back 5, so bring up 3rd and 10 at the 40. Wells is the ball carrier. No, wasn't Wells.
And I know that they're at their side of the 40, but the question begs, is this 4-down territory? Because by the time they snap this ball, it's going to be under 9 minutes, and they have to get 2 scores, but I'm surprised they're not, going a little more up-tempo, to be completely honest with you. I mean, it's still 9 minutes left. It's plenty of time, but I think more than anything else, it's just trying to ignite the offense, trying to do something different. At this point, they're throwing darts against the dartboard and trying to get something to stick.
Collins takes the snap. So again under pressure, and down he goes again. Again, he held the ball too long.
That's great. That's great by Gammo. And Saline's defensive line having a heck of a game. They are making him run for his life. Now they're going to punt. Now they don't have a choice.
Yeah. It's now 4th and 20.
And now the clock is becoming a huge factor. And I think this is really when you see Saline going to be content to run 4 plays in a row here. They're going to be content to run because by the time this ball is kicked, there's going to be 8 minutes left. And ideally, if you can take 2 or 3 minutes off the clock and give it to them with 4 minutes left and expect them to score 10 points, you pin them deep. You know, you're basically telling them you have to go 100-plus yards and 2 possessions, obviously, to...
Well, it's interference.
That's got to be interference. And there we go. Late flag, better late than never. And that's...
Malanzak caught the ball at the 40, but that should be a penalty on Catholic Central, but you just never know.
And that's got to be a 15-yarder, is it not?
It is a 15-yarder.
Yeah, so that's going to give Saline the ball at the 45-yard line. So even if they're not able to really get anything going, they can punt it and pin them deep again. Battle of field position, everything favoring the Hornets right now. And I had the feeling with a lot of the Hornets this year, I knew their defense was going to be good, but they don't have an offense. They've had to design the offense more around a power scheme this year with veteran running backs, and you're having Murphy. You know, they don't have guys like Dively and Turner who can just go up and get it. They have guys that can run very well, but they don't have, you know, guys like Daniels who just have that, you know, extremely smooth motion. So they're not going to score 45, 50, 55 points like they have in years past. They're more... This offense this year is not a quick scoring offense. It's more of an offense that when it's not in the hands of Griffin's their only really big scoring threat, and Malanzak to a lesser extent, but they're more of a power scheming offense at this point. And, you know, you're going to see a lot of games this year that they're going to win 24-7, 24-10, 17-7 like they have right now. You're not going to have, I mean, they're not going to beat Pioneer 49-7 this year. You know, I mean, I can
Says
still...
you.
I can still see them beating Skyline and Huron by 35-40 because both those programs are god-awful, but, you know, you just never know.
Ferrari hands off to Monday. He cuts it up inside, picks up a yard, maybe a yard and a half, brings up 2nd and 9 with just about 8 minutes to go here in the game. And again, like you said, Saline's content to run the clock. Let's just get out of here, take the victory, and go on the road next week right down the street to Lincoln and see what we can pick up our 2nd victory of the season. But we got to finish this one out first.
Absolutely. And
pass out in the flat to Malanzak, and he is hard to bring down.
And that is huge.
4 or 5 guys had a shot at him, and he picked up 20 yards on that play.
And that's another first down, and that's going to keep the clock going, and that's more than anything else at this point. Saline just wants to run out this last 7 minutes and get to the locker room. And I tell you what, being completely honest, this has been a very impressive first 2 weeks. A young Hornets squad that only lost by 5 to the 3rd-ranked team in the state. Now they're 7 minutes away from meeting the Division IV champions. I mean, that's very impressive. Very, very impressive indeed. And I think they have a very good chance next week against FC Lincoln.
Handoff inside to Monday, spins inside, carries inside the 20 down to about the 17-yard line. Bring up 2nd and 1.
And now if you're Saline here, you know, the big thing that you can't afford to take your foot off the gas pedal, but the one thing you don't want is you don't want a long turnover, you know, and that's why I would be very surprised if you don't see more than a quick outlet pass. You don't want to give them a chance to...
See, this game reminds me a lot of last week, only the results reversed, because we were on Chippewa Valley just like Catholic Central was on us a little bit early in this game. We maintained our composure. We kept plugging, and now we're ahead by 2 scores with 6:20 remaining. Monday.
Exactly. And at this point, I mean, that's going to give them a first down.
Yep, it is a first down. So it'll be first down and for Saline at the 16-yard line, 1st and 10.
And that's going to keep the clock rolling here. 25 seconds if Saline really wants to. They can take it down to under 6 minutes.
And I think they have to be encouraged by the play of Ferrari here. I think he's really had a good second half. A couple of plays but that's just youth. And they've got stuff on film. They're against no matter if they're Division 4 or Division 44, you know, they're a program in a pass in the end zone, and he threw it out of bounds.
There's a flag that can call pass interference in the end zone.
Again, a questionable call because that ball was 6 yards out of bounds. So
It's about time we got one of them. I'll be honest with you, it's about time we got one of them. Then again, I don't know. For all we know, it could be called on Griffin. Who knows? With the way the game's gone tonight, it looked like they were going to call it on the defense. It's either going to be defensive holding or pass interference. But
it also wouldn't surprise me if they picked up the flag.
That's true. That's true. But
pass interference against Catholic Central.
We'll take it.
Yeah.
And in high school, I don't believe it's a pass interference. I think it's a 15-yarder. I don't believe it if it's in the because a lot of
it's
times
half
in the NFL,
the distance
it's
to
half
goal.
The distance, yeah. Well, if it happens in the NFL, it's ball at the 1-yard line. However,
now they brought the jumbo package in. Now they got Gammo in on offense.
And Wisniewski, and now they're just going to be running it between the tackles.
Yeah, they're going to be killing clock.
Well, they're in field goal range already, too, so, that's what this is going to be about. They're going to follow behind. It would not surprise me at all to see them score.
Monday on the carry, carries it down, maybe a yard on the play.
Pick up a 1 on the play.
Now, Gammo and Wisniewski, they might run that play 2 more times.
Well, it's 2nd and 1 because when it was half the distance, it's not an automatic first down.
Absolutely.
So it's 2nd and 1, and they're gonna grind it out, try and get a first down, and hopefully a touchdown. They're just gonna methodically try and push it in the end zone.
Ferrari now gets the snap from Hartley. He's going to fall forward for another first down.
Monday on the run.
That's going to be to about the 4. Yeah, ran it for about 3 yards, 3-4 yards.
And this is another good opportunity for Ferrari to be under center. Because there's going to be opportunity.
Exactly.
He has to take snaps under center.
Well, he has to take snaps, and he's getting it with a variety of different situations. You had the 2-minute drill. Now you're having goal line sort of stuff. You're having red zone sort of offense. And now with under 5 minutes to go here, if Saline's able to punch it in, that might be pretty much all she wrote. For this game here, obviously crazier things have happened. But a 17-point lead with 4 minutes left a lot of times. We got Monday
He gets hit in the backfield, and he keeps his legs churning and carries it down right at the 1-yard line. So it'll be 2nd and goal from the 1. That's where you keep your legs churning. That's the senior leadership there. He keeps his legs moving and keeps bowling it down and almost scored.
Well, he's a big guy, too. I mean, it's just so hard to bring the guy down. I mean, he's 5'11", 6 feet tall, and 220 pounds of muscle. I mean, he's bigger than some of their linebackers. So that's I almost wonder if Saline's going to take the clock all the way down to 0 and call a timeout. I don't know. But I do think they're going to try and run it to about 4 minutes to go here.
I want to see him give it to Gammo and see if he can bang it in. And they fumbled instead.
I think they got a little too cute with it, to be honest with you. But at this point, I don't think it makes much of a difference. I mean, yeah, congrats, Grand Rapids. You got the ball at your own 3-yard line with 3 minutes left, I think Saline got a little too cute with it. I think, they tried to fake it off the Gammo, and I think in situations like this, it's easy to try different things, but I think at that point, just give it to Monday. You're at the 1.
But on the same token, is if you have that 2-score lead, you may want to use that later in the season. So now's the time that you want to try. You're right. Just like you said, a leader when Milanzak fielded that punt there may be a time he has to do that later in the season. Oh yeah,
absolutely,
right?
absolutely. Right. But the thing for these young, it's knowing when to do it.
Oh, no question.
If you're up by 10 points, there was no. That was a gutsy play by him, but I also know that was a play that had a very good chance of backfire. It just did.
Right. I see we have another listener from the state of Ohio. Kyle Franzen's listening down in Salem, Ohio. Handoff in the backfield.
That might be a safety.
I think he got just out of they're going to actually give him forward progress almost to the 2. He definitely got hit behind the line of scrimmage and driven back into the end zone.
My question now, though, is I don't know if they have a quick score play in their playbook. They remind me so much of Canton where they try to methodically wear you out and score. They don't pass it a lot, but they just, they're in the shadow of their own end zone. And they're going to have to break something quick here. And if you're Saline, this is when you play prevent defense and you just try to keep everything in front of you. That's going to be the big thing. And they're going to hand it off again.
The Wells, he cuts it up inside, gets it out to about the 3-yard line.
Wells on the run.
And yeah, this is going to take. They have 3 timeouts, and I'm surprised they're not using them yet. I don't know if they've kind of already decided that.
I think they're just trying to make sure that Saline doesn't score again, but unfortunately for them, they need to get out of the shadow of their own end zone for that to happen.
I mean, yeah, they have no time left. They just, yeah, they're. I mean, there's no. I mean, there's no.
Now they call a timeout.
Yeah, but they're not going fast, you know. And this is when you kind of have to start going risk versus reward, because at this point you keep running it for 3 yards, and they're you know, you can't keep hope to break in one here because. You know, you've had success against the young Saline secondary. I don't know why they went away from that, to be honest with you. That's what surprised me.
That's why we talked about earlier. Their whole play calling went different. Now, you wonder if Collins is maybe a little banged up. He took a lot of pressure there at the end of the first half, and maybe he's sore. Maybe he can't make those throws, and maybe they don't have depth at quarterback to try somebody else. But it's just been a totally different offense here in the second half, and we'll attribute it to the pressure of the Saline defense.
Well, and that's what getting pressure will do for them. I mean, they weren't able to. They didn't do a great job of this against Chippewa Valley. When you give the quarterback all day to throw, you're putting your young secondary up for failure. But at halftime, a switch flipped because he's been running for his life ever since then, and that's the ability that they have. They have 4 defensive linemen who are huge, who are very, very strong. They have a very big, very strong defense. And, you know, Grand Rapids has got 3rd and 8 at the 5-yard line. You know, this is probably 4-down territory for them here. That's a good catch, but he's still going to be short. I don't know. From up here.
No, they spotted him at the first down.
So you're going to need more than that. You know, Saline's content to give him that. They're absolutely content to give him that. They're just trying to keep everything in front of them. At this point of the game, it's just about making sure that, you know, they don't. It doesn't look like they have a speed guy that can just blow the top off the secondary, but you can't let anyone get behind you. That's the important thing. And now
a little screen, wide receiver screen, or actually it was the running back, is Grainbow again. He has been their offense pretty much in the second half. Graybo is just run it. They throw it to him. He's caught the last 2 passes. It's just.
Well, you have to know to get out of bounds there. That's the thing. I mean, yeah, you gain 4 extra yards, but you know what good does that do? I mean, either they have to use an extra timeout or whatever, but you have to know to get out of bounds there. You know, I understand the clock briefly stops while they reset the chains for the first minute, or for the first down marker, but still. I'm surprised, slightly surprised Gamo's not in there anymore. Brett Baldus, number 97 now, is outside saving, and Gamo does cramp up a little bit, and I wonder if they're just trying to.
Well, I saw him sprint off the field, so maybe they're just trying to give some other people some opportunities. Again, we're going to need it as the season progresses. Against Collins back.
I don't think
kept everything in front. He did not
get out of bounds. They're going to have to use a timeout or something.
Or they're just content to run it out.
Tackled by 30, Jordan Harris.
Did he get out of bounds? Because the clock's not rolling. He might have gotten out of bounds, but it doesn't look like they called timeout.
Yeah.
I didn't think he got out of bounds from up here, but.
Third and 2. Here comes the pressure again. He steps up, throws it down the field. Threw it to Saline, but too far. He overthrew him. So with 2:03 remaining here in the game, it's 4th and 1.
And yeah, now it's starting to become desperation time, where you almost just have to go forwards and hope to God that something falls your way here, because I mean they still have 2 timeouts.
Here comes Gamo again back in the game.
And Saban's going to check out. Yeah, he looks healthy.
Yeah. Funny how a lead with 2:03 remaining gives you a little energy.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Especially getting that.
And then a bad snap. Oh, he catches it. Shovel
pass. That was a false start on their left tackle. That was clear. And Saline needs to wrap him up.
There's a flag.
There you go.
A guy 20 yards away from the play throws a flag. He saw something. He's not sure what he saw, but he saw something.
Maybe it'll be on maybe it'll be on.
Yeah, they're pointing. He's pointing Saline's way. Oh, it is against Catholic Central.
Boy,
I don't know how he makes that call. He was way too.
They've been inconsistent both ways. To put
we have binoculars up here in the booth so we can see things, but I don't see any on him.
No, I don't know what the call. What's the call? Holding? Or? I don't know what the call was. We need to get a signal. We haven't gotten a signal yet from the referee.
It was after the catch, so it must have been an illegal block in the back or something. It was a 15-yard or whatever
Shot
it was.
Block. Correct back block, maybe, because I don't think a block in the back's a 15-yarder. I thought it's a 10-yarder.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. So they get to run that play again, but luckily they took 10 seconds off the clock.
Absolutely.
Result of the penalty brings up 4th and 2.
Nobody knows what it is. They didn't announce it. The official said, I don't need to know.
Well, because it probably was a spot foul, so it was 10 or whatever yards back from the original.
What
where
their
the foul
coach
was committed, yeah.
My guess is what their coach is arguing is it may have been a dead ball penalty or something, but it wasn't. The play was live. So, but if you mark it from the spot of the foul, it just.
Now they're going to talk again. Yeah, they've.
Well, they just wanted us to get more time with our fans out there. I'm sure Grandma Pateri's down there in Florida listening to us again this year. She's always been loyal to us, listening in. Loves to listen to our broadcast and watch her grandsons play out here and at Saline High. That's the beauty of this. You can watch us anywhere in the world. So here we go again. Same play. It was just like a dead play. Quarterback draw, and he got the first down.
And he took 4 seconds off the clock, though.
First down. Tackled by 59, Monty Green.
And now, while the officials move the chains here,
they wind it.
Roll that clock. Keep it moving. With a minute 45 to go here. Yeah, it looked like holding, but oh, what a hit by Greenwood. That's a. Oh,
and now they're going to call a flag.
That is a terrible call. I'm sorry. That is. Oh man, they call it 4 seconds after the play. They've had a rough night, flat. They've had a rough night. I mean, I think that was just a clean hit. Just a clean hit, you know.
Well, on that one, I'll just tell you where the thinking is, and this is where they've passed it all the way down from the NFL to college and whatever. That ball was passed to the receiver, and he's defenseless player,
exactly.
And therefore, we laid him out, and that's so I understand that call. And safety first, especially in high school. Any penalty that you call for safety reasons, I'm 100% sure for, even if you get it wrong, because I'd rather you err on the side of safety than on it's one of these kids, because it's hard to explain to somebody's mom or dad why. Offset. Wow. Amazing.
The one thing, though, that especially, like I know, talking like to my dad and my grandfather who have watched football, some people believe that it's being turned more into more of sort of like arena football. You know, you guys know where I'm going with this. I mean, we've watching the NFL preseason. I mean, there have been that new tackling rule that they have. There have been some really, really, really egregious calls, and the question is, how do you enforce safety, but at the same time kind of keep it a physical game, because football's not a game for everyone, and you know that there is the chance that you get nicked up and hurt. You know, and that's the. Never, and it's not an easy battle, and I understand that wholeheartedly.
Oh, and there's a play, and it looks like Catholic. Ooh, say touchdown saving tackle. So it's still a ball game with a minute 27 remaining.
Just got
Saline's got to toughen up.
They do, yeah. They're the tackling.
Zach Sabins comes back in the game.
The tackling nearby Greenwood there was. They have to hope their special teams has a miracle and recovers an onside kick, because here's the thing. Saline's onside kick works so well because no one's expecting it. It's a lot harder to pull it off when everybody in the building's expecting it.
No doubt about it.
They don't have the element of surprise at all with them. Now, from what we've seen earlier, I don't know how good their kickoff team is, but they sure haven't looked good. Wisniewski had pressure.
Oh, off the hand. He had a wide open receiver right off his hands.
And that took another 6 seconds off the clock. You know, it's just, they're just running out of time, you know, and I think at the end of the day, it's going to be, you know, Saline had that late touchdown, but it might just be too little too late for them.
So with a minute 14 remaining, it's 3rd and 3, and the ball on the 15-yard line. The crowd is rocking. You can feel the stands up here in the box. The parents, everybody's still here. The student section's on their feet, cheering on the squad.
Saline down in the 4 points.
There's a shot of the student section. Here comes the pressure. He steps up. He may have been across the line. It's close.
Collins' pass is complete.
There's a flag. I think he was across the line of scrimmage, but we'll see.
Now Grand Rapids ain't happy.
Well, we'll see what they call.
I saw one of their coaches threw his hand on the ground and was screaming, so I don't know if it's... Well, it looks like it is going to go against them. You got Saline clapping and... we're going to have another conference.
They picked up the flag.
There is no penalty on the play.
Pass is complete. Tackle by 59.
So it's 1st and 10 at the 10. So it's 1st and goal to go from the 10-yard line with 1:07 remaining.
It's 1:05 now. They're going to want to get the ball off quickly here. Saline probably going to try and bring pressure to the backside, and here it comes, and they have it. And they dropped the ball. Yeah, 55 seconds now.
Green came from the backside and put some pressure on it. I think Collins felt it. So 55 seconds remaining here in the game. It's second and goal from the 10.
Ball is on the 10.
With I give Catholic Central credit. They've shown they got the ball on the 3-yard line. We didn't think they could do it. Whether they got help or whether or not, they've driven the ball down the field. Collins back. He's got a pass out of bounds inside the 10 down to about the 6-yard line.
That's a good blitz pickup by them. I'll give him that. I mean, they brought the house, and he had time there and took the short. And Saline's going to be content to give them the short pass. I think at this point they're not extremely concerned about yielding a score, to be completely honest with you. They're just hoping that if they do score, they're going to run as much time off the clock as they can. Because, I mean, if it's based on the contingent fact that, you know, it's all based on the fact if they don't recover the onside, it's too little, too late. Saline they'll be happy to take a 3-point win.
Kind of the quarterback draw. Is he going to hold him out of the end zone? And they do.
I think he will.
And now they're going to have to call a timeout.
That's huge.
1 yard line.
That means another 8 seconds run off the clock here, down to 43.
Jonah Ashby on the tackle. So it's 4th and 1 from the 1 at the 4th and goal from the 1 yard line, and Catholic Central does call a timeout.
So and here's the other thing you have to think about. If they recover the onside kick at the, let's say, the 40, 50 yard line, they're only going to have one timeout in about 30 seconds. And I mean, with the way Saline's been bringing pressure, I don't have any confidence at all that their kicker is going to be able to make anything from inside of 35 yards. I think maybe, I don't know. There's no feasible way, I think, in which they can rely on their kicker to at least get a field goal. I think they're at the point now where, unless they're, you know, it's only a 20, 25 yard attempt. I mean, I don't think anything 30 out, they're not going to trust them.
Well, I think this is also a good learning experience for Saline. I think they might have relaxed a little bit. They thought they had the game won, and we're going to go with the approach that they do have it won, but it's a lot more exciting than it should have been.
Exactly. Well, it is, but at the end of the day, if they're able to win this, I'll take it. I mean, last week they played well enough to win. They would have beaten 90% of the teams in the state with the way they played. And this week, you know, at the end of the day, they'll be happy to go 1-1. It's hard of a schedule, and are we going to get a timeout by Saline now? And
yep.
Polkowitz, he's seeing what they were going to line up in, so then they can adjust. And now at this point, it's more of a chess match than anything else.
This is where they wish that your headset went right down to Polka so you could give them the play of the day. Where to line the defense. Don't forget, like I say, we're on the road next week at Lincoln. We need everybody to come on out, cheer on our Hornets. First road contest of the season. Should be a good contest. Like I say, Lincoln's vastly improved, and then we'll be back here in 2 weeks against the always tough kicking mules of Temperance Bedford. It's it's been one of our better rivals over the last several years. We've haven't won every game against them, but they've all been great contests. So we're expecting another good contest, and they are big. They're always big. And they will hit you.
Over and over. Talking from experience. Over and over and over. They are not. They don't rely on athleticism. They rely on taking a bunch of strong kids and literally what they say. You see that guy across from him, you kick his butt. They play a very old style sort of football. I mean, they're very.
So here we go with Collins and Wells in the backfield. Snap, handoff to Wells, and he is short of he did not make it. And the ball goes over on downs to Saline.
That's going to be, that is huge. And Saline is going to collect their first win of the year. And there's our cameraman Thomas Pear jumping up and down, trying to encourage the student section. And now Saline's going to be content to take a knee. That is. Well,
they won't probably be able to take too much of a knee because we're inside the 2-yard line, but I wouldn't be surprised if the quarterback just falls forward.
Exactly. That's a huge play. Phenomenal stop, and Saline 37 seconds away from collecting their first win of the year and the 61st in Polka's career here at Saline.
Exactly. And this is, again, a great learning experience for the team. Just like last week was a great learning experience against a high-quality opponent, same is true here today.
And this is another good learning experience for Ferrari. You were talking about it, how you handle, and I believe that will do it. Unless they call a timeout,
1 yard.
Because they're not going to have to snap the ball again, and they're going to be able to run down the clock unless it should be the game over. Yeah.
Yep.
And Saline will improve to 1-1 on the year, defeating the defending champion
Division
Grand
4
Rapids.
state champions. Yep.
Back to back, and I tell you what, that really erases the hard pill that they had to swallow last week. They were so close. Saline improves to 1-1, and that is a very impressive win for the Hornets. They improved to 1-1, beating Grand Rapids 17-7, and as Mr. Gashke said, we will not be on the air next Friday, but we will be back the Friday after as we play Bedford. As always, I'm Nathan Stearns.
And I'm Mitch Gashke.
The Hornets are